Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Good evening, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Boy, do we have a great show for you guys tonight. I have done some remote viewing targets for our good friend Arkheim Ra, who's been part of the Montauk Project, Project Phoenix, and some other programs. And he has had me remote view. He gave me 2 blind coordinate remote viewing targets, and I actually tasked one of my remote viewing my teammate Susan, who may be in the chat tonight. She has also gotten the targets as well, and I do have her data tonight. And it's interesting because our data kind of matches up a little bit there. Okay, so we got 2 targets from Arkheim. And we're going to go over those targets tonight. They do involve the Montauk Project, Camp Hero, and a recording studio, and more. And I think that it might just verify some of Arkheim's testimony that he has in regards to the time travel experiments, the music programming, all that stuff. The Mkultra, you name it, y'all. We're going to be talking about it tonight. I think this is kind of groundbreaking information, actually. Okay, because I think this is a wonderful way to be able to really dive in and explore some of these topics like the Montauk Project. These are covert, supposed to be kind of secret operations and stuff that we don't know the whole gist of it. It's not all out there. Okay, and for us to be able to work, cohesively together with Arkheim, with his testimony, and then me getting these blind targets, and my team getting these blind targets, it makes for some good data, okay? It's for some good information, and so I'm all about it. I'm about it, okay? So if you guys would like to follow along with all my shows and check out my social media links and have I've got an archive of all of my shows and everything, go over to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all my information over there, including the link to Patreon is there. And that is where I have all of the data for tonight. I have my data, not Susan's data, out of, for her privacy. I didn't put her data up there, but I do have her data typed out, though. So I may be putting that up there after the show tonight. But yes, it's all there on my Patreon. If you guys would like to see the raw remote viewing data, it's all there. Plus pictures and anything that I'm going to be showing tonight, pretty much I have put it up on my Patreon. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers and all my members. All my members, y'all. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Okay. And of course, my VIP members, I'm trying to get caught up on all my gifts. I give a gift every month to my VIP members, and I'm trying to get those all caught up, and I need everybody's addresses. Okay. I feel like I always say that. If you haven't sent me your mailing address, please do, if you are a VIP member of my Patreon. Okay. And I appreciate it. Okay. Also, my link to my Etsy shop is there as well. And I do appreciate all the support. And thank you to all my channel members here on YouTube. I do put exclusive content up for the Hunt Club. Okay. So thanks to all of my Hunt Club members as well. Okay. Well, let's get into our program for tonight, to our show. I have a lot of data to go over tonight, and I know Arkheim has a lot to tell us tonight as well, and I'm super excited. Y'all know we always have a great time when Arkheim is here. All right. Deep within the confines of the Montauk Air Force Station, nestled near the shores of Montauk, New York, experiments took place that transcend the boundaries of conventional science, including time travel, mind control, teleportation, and interdimensional and extraterrestrial encounters. According to whistleblowers and program survivors, the Montauk Project, an extension of Mkultra, conducted secret mind control experiments on children at Camp Hero in Montauk. Arkheim Ra has memories of being in the programs at Camp Hero and is a top whistleblower working towards full disclosure of these secret government programs. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for super soldier espionage mind control programs in the U.S. Public Schools Talented and Gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has several alters and has served in swap alternate realities. Arkheim's alters have worked with Notwaffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. His book, Time and Space Unlimited, The Implications of Portal Technologies, explained, is available on Amazon. And y'all, please go and purchase his book. It's so good. And of course, I was tasked with 2 coordinate remote viewing targets. One of them being the recording studio at Montauk. And Arkheim will tell us more about that when he comes up. And also, the other target would be, I believe it's his room where he stayed at Camp Hero. And so, of course, my friend Susan as well did remote view this as well. We were both given the coordinates. And I can't wait to go over this, you guys. Please help me welcome to the show from Disclosure Now with an exclamation point on YouTube. Y'all go subscribe to his channel. Please help me welcome Arkheim Ra.
Hey, Jessica. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Of course. Thank you for being here. And thank you for giving me these targets. I just love it. I see we have Susan in the chat tonight. Thank you, Susan. Susan is my friend who is a remote viewer who also remote viewed this with me today. Okay, so thank you for being here, Susan. But thank you for being here, Arkheim. I am so excited to have you back. And I'm really gracious that you share your testimony with us. And you are, like I said in the intro, you're one of the top whistleblowers in my book when it comes to some of the secret space program information. So thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure just to be able to get out here and share this information with people willing to listen to it and kind of start documenting some of this history that has been covered up for so long. So I appreciate the outlet to do that. Hey, Long Island Mike, good to see you. I also, I should talk to you soon, Mike, and I want to talk to the Montauk Exchange, Brian Minnick. I want to go to Montauk again soon, and I'm working on a little documentary I want to make myself. So it's that's like the first time I've ever said anything about it, but I really should start talking to Mike again. But anyway, so just to introduce what we're going to be talking about here, this is something that's been talked about for about 20 years now, at least, because I know that Preston Nichols, who we all knew as Nicholas at Montauk, he released a book called The Music of Time, and he didn't go into the nitty-gritty details of it all, but he did talk a lot about the music and the mind control, and he did bring up that there were assets that created famous music that didn't get credit for it. In fact, he says that in the book, he says that Mark Hamill is one of these people, and he actually provided some evidence. It's pretty freaky. The guy who played Luke Skywalker, yeah, he was in this like 60s like lollipop pop sugar pop band kind of thing, and he actually there's a picture in his book that proves it and all that stuff. It's pretty crazy stuff. But I've been learning more about that, and it's been a long journey for me to understand the musical aspect of Montauk. And really that book, when I got that book, it was the beginning of the lid being blown off of it for me. And it really took me a long time to understand the concept or how or why for me to put together that I would have music stolen from me, songs stolen from me. And how I did realize it was I sat down at a piano one time and I started playing the song You Belong to Me, which is a famous old song that was, I think, first one by the Duprees. Patsy Cline did a version. Bob Dylan did a version of it for Natural Born Killers, that movie. And
Woody Harrelson, right?
Yeah. And I got the memories back of writing that song for my second wife at Montauk, because I was there for a long time. You got to understand, it's a time travel project. We're in a time bubble where time was like basically frozen. It's the most simple way to explain it. That's also kind of wrong. Time travel physics are weird, but that's the simplest way to explain it, is like time was kind of frozen. So I was there for a really long time and actually had 2 wives while I was there. So 2 separate wives. And the second one, I wrote that song about because she would go on time missions and I wouldn't always be with her. And I wrote it romantically for her, just a reminder that, no matter how long you're gone or whatever, you belong to me. And another one that I wrote during the time travel projects is Doesn't matter who you are as long as you love me by the Backstreet Boys. That's one of my songs. That's the song that I think it's kind of a good example to bring up because if you read the lyrics, it kind of, as anyone, every human being has been in love. And if you're like a normal person that lives in linear time with normal lives, the lyrics kind of don't make sense because the person in the song, whoever it is that's singing the song, from their perspective, they're saying it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or anything about your life, basically, as long as you love me. And it's kind of a silly concept, and like almost like if you don't really know the details behind it, it's almost kind of shallow, right? Like if you think about it, like doesn't matter who you are or anything about your personality or nothing, just love me, all right? But really what it meant was we would live all these lives, and that was for my first trauma twin. And it was we would live all these lives and go all these places, and we'd be given different identities, different names, and all that stuff. But I didn't really care what I was sent to do or what I was doing as long as she was with me and as long as I got to be with her. And if you read the lyrics to the song and think about it that way, the lyrics make a lot more sense, and they also kind of hit harder, more emotionally poignant, I would think. And then the very best example of a Montauk song, which is one that I didn't write, and I think that's important for me to mention, is basically every soldier was encouraged to write music. There were some that didn't write music. Not everybody did, but there are some who are particularly great at doing it, and they wrote a lot of songs. And I was one of the people who wrote a lot of songs, and I just talked about this for the first time in an interview with Aquarius Rising Africa. This is the second time I've ever talked about this publicly, but basically I was there was a name for it. It was the cultural exchange officer, I think it was. Chief cultural officer is what I was called. And basically I was in charge of the music. I was in charge of like figuring out where it would go, what we would do with it. And the memories are quite blurry of that. I had been reading off John Whitberg's book series, The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes, for a while now, which is all real. It's all real testimony, very detailed. Some of the most detailed testimony I've ever seen. Super underrated series. And we're not even talking right now. We're not getting along right now. And I still have to talk about his book because of how important it is, or his books, because of how important I think they are for the movement. And yeah, I was putting off reading them because of how hard it was to read it, like finding out about my biological father, Emmerman, who I believe we've talked about before. And then,
yes. We've seen pictures, Arkheim. I remember we pulled up a picture, and you do look a lot like him.
I like that comment. Yeah. You're my bro. Yeah, we're brothers, man.
He said in this timeline.
In this timeline.
Yeah. I think we're all siblings, actually. You're my brother, too.
Yeah, but I learned through his book that I was the chief cultural officer. I didn't find that out by remembering it. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very hard to read his book because I wasn't Mr. Rogers at Montauk. And there's been other people have come out about the testimony of, what I was like. Mm-hmm. And I was not a nice person. I was raised in a, I'll just kind of explain it. I really want to explain it from the ground up because I want the other Montauk time soldiers that are going to end up watching this to maybe understand a little bit. Mm-hmm. James, when I got there, was Preston's favorite. James Rink. But I became his new favorite toy, his new favorite pet, and kind of made us compete with each other and stuff. But I ended up being his, he there's a lot of favoritism towards me. I'm not entirely sure why to this day. It's probably because of what he knew about me and all the different timelines and stuff like that and who I was and the fact I'm Ra or all that crap or whatever. I'm not even sure. But I was kind of like Morty. I would follow this guy around everywhere through portals. He'd bring me all over the place, except as it's been testified by many other Montauk time soldiers, he was a abuser of children is the censorship way of saying it, the way to get past, people know what I'm talking about. So it was a very much so like an abusive relationship between me and this man. And in the book, John talks about how in his book, The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes, he talks about how you'd get these sandwiches brought in from different places like New York City or Germany or Tokyo, from this woman through portals and stuff. And one of the first things that I ever talked about, and it was one of the first memories I ever got back. Some of the first memories I ever got back were of Preston. And, everybody's talking about him being this really abusive guy that did all these terrible fucking things, which he did. I remember a lot of it now, but at the time I didn't. This guy was a fucking monster, but that's besides the point. What I remembered is we would talk about music. I remember one of the first memories I got back was him bringing in like this crazy synthesizer and me being really excited about it. And I wanted equipment for my room, so that's why I was bringing all this stuff. Like I didn't want to go to the recording studio and have someone be in there, and then I can't work on a song. So I wanted my own recording studio in my room, which is why I gave you the second target, which was my room. And so what I had in there was a reel-to-reel, a drum machine, a bass guitar, an electric guitar, and a synthesizer, and like this 8 tracks. And it was demos that I recorded mostly, and the people that I gave the songs to would make the actual song. I just recorded, I guess, more or less demo versions of it. But some of the examples of the songs that were recorded in that room would be Instant Crush, which was Daft Punk and Julia and Casablancas, there was a version that was recorded by another French band called The Dough that never ended up getting used, and y'all have never heard it, but I have. So they actually do these weird little competitions where they'll actually have bands record the songs, and they'll decide which version they like the best and who to give it to. And I was actually one of the people who would decide who would get the songs. Like I would listen to the different recordings by different people. And what it is the record companies make the artists sign non-disclosure agreements, which, there are artists who have talked about it, but they've never talked about like having to sign these agreements, but they've never talked about all the stuff where, because they wouldn't want to put their artistic integrity out there. And the fact that they've been kind of violated with this is the record company says, well, you can make your own music, but some songs you got to play. And we had different ways of doing it with different artists and communicating with them. An example I can give you is Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins, who is a Freemason who is connected to these programs.
And he was actually, I just talked about him the other day. He was talking about watching someone shapeshift.
It was Tila Tequila, and it was while he was having intercourse with her.
Really? Okay. Well, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, that's who it was. Wow. That he saw shapeshift. That little mystery got solved.
Oh. Well, you heard it here first, y'all. You heard it. Oh man.
But basically, yeah,
for entertainment purposes only.
With him, and Christy Campbell remembers this too. You met her at probably the conference that you're just at. I met Billy at a nightclub in Chicago. I forget which one. But I had a tape, and we had these tapes where they would play once, and then a magnetic frequency would come out of this little computer in the corner of it, and the tape wouldn't work anymore. It would destroy the tape, and you wouldn't be able to ever listen to the tape again. So you could only listen to the tape once.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, for real. And wow. We were, for whatever reason, we were trying to talk to Billy because he did make some music, and we knew we could probably use him. And some of his songs are mine, like Bullet with a Butterfly, which is, everyone knows it as Rat in a Cage. That's mine. That's about Montauk. That's about being a Montauk time soldier. That's about how I felt, trapped in a cage, so angry about it, but I couldn't do fucking anything about it. I felt like Job. I felt betrayed by God, but yet at the same time chosen by him. It's all about Montauk. And he did not want to take our offer. Christy Campbell remembers this. We had to go back in time and try it like 5 times and to get him to even be like, all right, who the fuck are you people? You know what I mean? Like, and actually work with us. And yeah, I was just like, look, man, just listen to the tape. You know what I mean? I think that's what it was. I was just like, you don't have to do it. You can listen to it, and that's it. And he's like, but then I'll have the tape. I'm like, you'll understand once you listen to it. And I didn't tell him how it would just like not work anymore. I was just like, you'll understand once you listen to it. It's fine. You can have the tape. Keep it. You don't need to bring it back to us. And I'm convinced that he remembers this. He probably does remember this all happening. Maybe we did stuff to make him forget it for security culture at Montauk. I don't know, but I remember it, and I remember him finally agreeing to it. And like Today is the greatest day ever. I wrote that song, and that was more of like a synth pop song. And he made like a rock version of it, which I really like his version of it. And some of the like songs, like I said, like the one that's like wow wow down down and wow, that's his. I mean, the guy is a great songwriter and a great guitar player with his own sound. We didn't work with people who weren't talented, who didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Who we work with people who were really good. So when we gave the songs to them, they would make them shine and actually make them famous. And he was an example of somebody like that. So and he's one of many. One is Ricky Valley. Another one, something that's kind of funny about him is people have seen him recently in a concert, how he's just totally fucking out of it. Like he literally doesn't even look like he's there. And what's funny about him is if you go back and watch a music video from the 80s, one of his songs, he didn't really look like he was all there then either. And I can explain something to you. That guy was working with us. We gave him songs. He was aware of the Time Project and all that, and he was working with us, and he was sending us money. And this asshole thought he could pull a fast one on us and keep more of the money than he thought we like we agreed to. And so what we had to do one day is literally pull up behind a fucking one of his shows and kidnap him and like basically replace him with like this like
with a clone.
It's him, but it's like MK Ultra the fuck out version of him that can be easily taken over by somebody at Montauk during different times. So like when he's signing a contract, when he's doing banking stuff, we can just blank slate this guy and take him over and make him do stuff. That's why he's so fucking out of it.
So that's something that's like totally possible. With all the I am trained in the remote viewing. We've learned a lot of mind control methods, and it's to control our own mind. Yeah. But I can see like a lot of the things you're talking about, even like with they encourage you guys to all like learn music and to write music. That's like part of your, expressing through your subconscious kind of too and stuff, and like staying creative and everything. That's important when it comes to controlling the mind. Is the arcane arts
had to be controlled by Montauk. So this is things like the Crusades and burning the witches and getting rid of like these Native American shamans and stuff like that because they were savages and all this stuff. That's a part of getting rid of the psychic people, getting rid of the arcane arts to keep people kind of down and controlled. And music, I still get it to this day too. By the way, people still come at me because I'm a witch because I do remote viewing. I'm not a witch though. Okay, but that's that's the thing. It's like, you're not a witch.
They're trying to trigger. I think people like try to trigger, and maybe it's just from people are scared of what they don't understand and stuff too. And it's all if we live in the matrix here, it's just people trying to keep us in the matrix. Okay, like discouraging us from doing things like using our psychic skills and stuff like that. Brian's in the chat, by the way. Brian Minnick is here.
I was just talking about, I don't know if he was here for it, but excuse me, sorry. I was talking about how I want to come out to Montauk again. And I needed to connect with you, Brian, and I need to talk with Long Island Bigfoot.
Man, I was this close to inviting Brian on the show today, and then I just got so busy I forgot to even hit you up, Brian.
Oh my gosh, that would be excellent to have a show with him on. Yeah,
he's welcome. You're welcome to hop on, Brian, if you want. Just hit me up, send me a message or something. I'll send you the link if you want to hop on with this. So
that'd be excellent.
Okay, so you were saying they had replaced the guy with like basically
like I said, it's him, but we kidnapped him, MK'd him hardcore, and made it so that we can remotely control him. Basically, have another person take him over like more easily.
Oh, okay. Can I ask you a question real quick? This is a quick commercial break because I was watching these like congressional hearings one day, and this has nothing to do with what you're talking about, but it kind of does. And there was this woman that was sitting behind the Congress lady, and she was mouthing everything that woman was saying, like a ventriloquist, and it was weird. And I was thinking, the only thing I could think in my mind was MK Ultra or something, but I didn't understand how that worked. But this woman was sitting, and it's on camera. You can clearly see her mouthing everything. Either she remembered every bit of what the woman was saying, or she was controlling her in some way. or opposite, vice versa, Arkheim? I know it sounds weird, but I've seen it.
Yeah, no,
Weird
it
stuff.
is weird. I've also had a friend kind of do like remote viewing, tapping into like stuff as it's happening to see what would happen. And there's like referees and weird stuff. And like if you're doing it while you're watching the TV, you can see it. So there's weird, yeah. The psychic phenomenon's out there and it's happening, and it gets weird. But with music, it's an arcane art. It's like magic, basically. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where we could try to wipe it out, but it wasn't possible, not really possible to do that. So instead of wiping it out, we control it. You know, that we control the music industry, and that's where it comes from. And a big part of it was money laundering, because it was a way for us to make really lots and lots of money without having it being really traced to anywhere. And just we could know a song is going to be famous because of other timelines and stuff like that, and psychics and things like that. And yeah, we were able to just decide, you know, what songs to put out when. One of the things that I've talked about before is the band JetBlue, which is a band from Detroit, which was basically a rock and roll band that came out of Motown and worked with a lot of the Motown guys and became like the American Beatles sort of in that timeline. And they wrote Dream On, which
Aerosmith played, right?
which they have the Blue Army. Aerosmith has the Blue Army. That's what they call their fans, which is really weird. And I think it's also Aerosmith, which Jet Blue. So like, yeah, like the Dream On is their song. And it's exactly like I said. Aerosmith is a real band with some talented guys that write some fun songs and are great. You can tell the difference between the ones that were not written by them and the ones that were. The ones that are written by them have a swing to them. They sound kind of like jungle, tropical fucking rock and roll, like you're gonna get in your Corvette. They sound a certain way. And then the ones that aren't written by them, you can kind of tell. And Dream On is one of them. And JetBlue also wrote Back in the USSR, and there's another one. It was Only a Shadow, which is by this band called Cleaners from Venus from the UK, which never got really popular until recently, actually, even though they've been around forever, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so there's all this. It just gets very complicated and very weird and very crazy. Because like there's literally songs from alternate realities that we've pulled in and brought in through the projects and then gave to other people. And as far as I can tell, some of these recordings are actually literally recordings from alternate realities and stuff. So it's very crazy.
Wow. I've heard you talk about this before. I think it's fascinating. And it's kind of, it might be a little difficult for the average person to wrap their head around all this, or like, what, you know, but of course our audience is not typical normal.
And I can help with that a little bit too. Like, think about it. Like, let's use Occam's razor here. You know what that means? Like common sense, basically. What would happen if that's what Occam razor means. If the military, okay, sorry, back up one step. If time travel technology existed, then and it was discovered, it would probably be discovered by the military, and they probably would use it for military purposes, and they probably would start hacking the timeline and changing it to give themselves more power, which is maybe where Mandela effects come from. Now let's follow that rabbit hole a bit further. You can see who's going to win what football games, who's going to win what soccer games, and all that stuff. But gambling would alert people to what you're doing if you were to gamble and just make money every time and da 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 da. But if you just happen to be putting out hit songs over and over again, nobody's gonna think about it. Like
that explains why the music industry is so. I mean, it's wild, and it's so impressionable on everybody, especially the youth. Okay, and it's the music, it's the hypnotic effects of the music, it's the beats they put in it, it's the hertz, okay, and everything that affects the entire human psyche and the human body actually, and it's even at these concerts, Arkheim, we're seeing all these concerts. I talk about it pretty often where they're like doing black mass on stage, and like
they're absolutely doing
like satanic rituals and stuff. And we're talking about even like
The
Taylor
Weeknd.
Swift.
The Weeknd is a big example of that, and The Weeknd is. This is where it gets really weird. But I like coming on your show because I can just say whatever and I can just tell the truth and it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah,
he's actually like my great. The Weeknd is. I remember him as Yusuf. he was at Montauk, and he was like my great 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 grandson, and he was actually born on another planet, and the original version of him, and he was born as a prince to a king and a queen who married to stop hundreds of years of war between two warring nations. Yeah, so he carries that in his heart and in his soul, that there's people that hate him for who he is when he represents, because they feel betrayed, like he betrayed their culture by merging these two cultures. And there's also people who feel like he brought peace and all this stuff, what he did. But he didn't ask for any of it. He was just born. So it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy story. But yeah, he is part of Ordo Tempulum Nephilim, which is connected to Max Martin and Dennis Pop, which is connected to one of the Centurion planets. There's many Centurion planets. This particular one is called Centurion 5. There's a recording studio there. And that is separate than Montauk, but they're connected. They're aware of each other. They communicate with each other. They try not to step on each other's toes. And I work for both. I work for Ordo Temple and Nephilim, as well as Project Phoenix 2 with music. And it's just such, like, I understand that this is probably hard for people to hear. It's really hard for me to comprehend. It's really hard for me to comprehend, but it happens to me. I find my songs sometimes, and the memories flood back, and I just cry, and I know it's real, and no one will ever be able to fucking take that away from me. I know what happened to me,
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's people, some interesting stuff going on, as far as people in the projects who are Montauk or who are related to Montauk people or whatever. Elvis Presley was a Montauk time soldier. Some of his songs were mine. Can't Help Falling in Love with You would be an example. And his daughter's actually Britney Spears.
You told us that one of the last times you came on. I remember
Yeah.
that.
And something that I have not sure if I talked about publicly yet or not. I don't know if I told you, but Avril Lavigne is my daughter.
Yes, you told me that. You told me that. That was pretty emotional, actually, when you told us that the last time.
It's
And
still emotional just to kind of say it out loud, but it's true.
Well, okay. So here's how. But you've told us that before, and I kind of, I've started like looking into like the music industry a little bit more, in the fashion industry and the art industry, and I've done several shows on people that are like seem to be immortal, and we had Daryl James on last week, and Daryl was was also a part of the secret space program, and may still be, okay, but he was part of it, and he talked about how we talked about what rhymes with Google Chrome, starts with an A, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Google Chrome, yeah.
That whole spiel and what goes on with that, which is absolutely horrific, but that's very much in the music industry. It's like almost like a big, it's like, shall I say,
yeah. So I can explain something to you about that. Yeah, sure, I can tell you about it. So as everybody knows with these programs, the barrier of amnesia is how pretty much all this works. And I know that Montauk was involved in the Google Chrome trade. And I can tell you some pretty horrific things about the Chrome trade. And I was a dealer. I was a dealer of it. I was a user of it. I did engage in blood rituals, cannibalism. I participated in that shit, you guys. Like, I'm not proud of it. Yeah, I'm not proud of it. But you got to keep in mind, I was kidnapped under mind control. All this stuff. No excuse for it. I'm not trying to excuse my behavior, but I'm out here to tell people the truth. I'm not trying to water it down. But basically, what they do is they get you hooked on the Chrome without telling you what it is. And I can give you a personal example of one of the times. One of the times I got brought to Centurion, it was me, like this version of me, because I haven't. I play music, and here and now I play instruments and stuff like that, and they hadn't gotten any music from me yet. This version of me, and they're like, "All right, well, it's time." And I didn't really know what was going on exactly, but I was with Dennis Pop, and so what's crazy about Dennis Pop and Max Martin is I really figured out who they are by what happened to me. And Max Parton, you can look him up. He's written more pop songs, famous pop songs, like anybody else. Worked with like everybody, to a point where it's bizarre. How's he writing all these famous songs? And it's because he's part of this time cult. And anyway, when I was there, I've talked about this in the past, and I did not understand it all the way. I talked about how Dennis Pop, this stuff came out of like a futuristic looking device. This powder on this it like came down onto this glass plate, and he's like asked me if I wanted some bit, and I'm like, "What are we partying? What is this?" I thought we were trying to record music. Should we be more serious? And he told me it hooks up your brain to the recording studio.
Oh.
And I'm like,
What?
okay. Yeah, he's like, it's called 213-899-B or some crap like that.
Whoa.
I'm like, okay. And so I started doing this stuff with them. And the way I would describe it is it does seem to activate psychic abilities. We could start reading each other's minds, reading each other more. And I could connect my brain to the computer more easily, although I don't think the drug was necessarily necessary. I don't know if I needed it to do it or not. But
well, Arkheim, that sound. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it sounds like how the tech giants, like those guys, a lot of them, and I've been told from personal firsthand testimony that they microdose and stuff on, whatever it is, DMT or something. I don't know what to do. Kind of like what you're talking about, but it's probably a little bit different too. But it's to connect with entities and stuff to, get things done and whatnot. And before, let me do a little quick commercial break, because Nathan Davis, thank you so much for that super sticker. He said, just a reminder that we appreciate your work and dedication, Jessica and Arkheim Ra. National treasures for the time ahead. Your reach is far greater than YouTube allows you to know. Thank you, Nathan. I really appreciate you very much. Arkheim and I both do. Thank you.
Well, before I forget, I just want to say that so that powder that he gave me was the synthetic version of adrenochrome.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's a synthetic.
Not the same as microdosing.
So
okay.
Even chemists have talked about this. They've been interviewed about it, and they're like, "Yeah, it exists. It's real, but you could technically just make it in a lab pretty easily." That is true, but there's something about the real thing where it has a spiritual aspect to it that makes it more potent. I think it's sort of like I don't know how to explain it, but and what it is you end up meeting the real thing. They get you addicted to the real thing, and you turn into like a monster. There's all these weird sex, blood rituals and stuff like that with the chrome, and a popular one. Kind of hard to talk about. I'm going to try to say this in less colorful terms so we can get past the censorship here.
Okay.
It will engage with a woman, and they drink this ambrosia chrome where that they have saved before the ritual, and they do this ritual, and while someone is engaged with the woman and she climaxes, they cut off her head.
Oh my.
And start collecting the blood.
Oh man.
And it creates a version of it that is also an aphrodisiac as well as what it normally does. So it's like a different version of chrome that has aphrodisiac effects to it, so that they oftentimes will start their rituals with some of this version of the chrome that they have saved.
Oh god.
And it's nasty,
well,
man.
You know what? I think that a lot of us have wondered, okay, and we just had to use our imagination as like what goes on. But I kind of shut it down a little bit. Like I don't, I'm afraid to even go there.
Yeah, they put the energy into the song. They put that into the song.
Into the song, the music. Oh my gosh! I thought they were just cursing it with spells, but they're doing that.
They're like putting it into the song. A good example that I can give you is like if you listen to a lot of The Weeknd's new stuff, he'll have these jarring like sci-fi like synth noises and like crazy stuff at the beginning to kind of jump you up and get your attention. Yes. And that is where they put that energy in the song right away, that death murder energy from that ritual to grab the viewer. Because the thing that we knew about it at Montauk was like, one of the reasons why we use Montauk time soldiers is because psychic people with high psychic output, which their music grabs people better and becomes more popular, because we don't understand that the subconscious mind is like the psychic mind. and we are all telepathic, and the reason why we're not able to pick up on that as well as we potentially could is because we're cut off from our subconscious mind. But if we were more in tune with our subconscious mind, we would be telepathic. So that's how they're able to sneak all these songs,
Yep.
all these messages in these songs. It's not necessarily subliminal messages where it's like them saying stuff in the background, you can only faintly hear it, but you can't hear it, and then they trick you, and you all of a sudden you're buying something or whatever. No. They're literally putting psychic messages into the song. Preston talks about this device he made where you put it up to your pineal gland and you literally hook it up to the recording console, and you can put thoughts into the recordings. Yes.
Okay.
And he talks about how there's these certain, you can find these certain recorders where they have a third tape head, and no one knows why they have a third tape head or why they made them that way. And he said that's the reason why they have the third tape head, is it's for that technology.
Whoa. Y'all,
Yeah,
this is wild.
I think it was Seiko, Seiko. I think that's the company that that made the mixers that have the third tape head on them, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, yeah, I made this device, and you could put, and you don't need that device to do it. There's a another technology where you can listen to the recordings after you make them and put the thoughts into it. It's like a vinyl record player, and there's more than one way to do it, but I remember that being, well, he talked about it in his book, and I do remember that being a way that they would do it. And he talks about in his book how he worked with the crazy guy with the hair, Phil Spector, and how Phil Spector did not believe, he didn't believe in that he was putting these psychic messages in the song. He thought it was this hogwash crap. So he's like, how would I prove it to you by putting a number in the song for this phone number that nobody knows, and we'll see what happens. And they put it on the radio, and the song had nothing to do with the phone or numbers or anything. And next thing you know, this phone is ringing off the hook of all these people being like, I don't know why, I just felt the need to call this number. And then Phil Spector apparently believed Preston about the psychic messages he was putting in the songs, and gave him credit. Preston was like, you don't realize half the reason your songs are famous is because of me. I love doing the Preston.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely. I am not shocked. I've actually kind of heard some of this similar. I mean, I've heard that. I know the power of the subconscious mind and subliminal messaging and things like that. I mean, not only did I study it in college, okay, but with the remote viewing training and the psychic training and stuff like that, I learned that there as well. Now, I do have our resident expert on Camp Hero here in the studio, Arkheim. We have Brian Minnick here, and I'm going to bring up Brian if that's cool. Let's get Brian up here, and we'll have a cool discussion. Then we're going to get into the data tonight of these targets. So everybody, this is Brian Minnick of Montauk is Strange over on YouTube. Hey, Brian. Uh-oh, you're muted. Got to unmute you.
My
it's
bad.
so good to see you.
It's good to see you, Brian.
You too.
You bloody legend. How you doing, man?
No, I'm pretty good. I just I popped in. Mike said send me a text. I'm in chat, and then you said come in the show. So I'm like, all right,
Yes.
I'll just jump in there.
Heck yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
you know what?
I
was thinking about inviting you like all day today, and I've been so busy, and I was like, I didn't.
Me too.
Now you're here. Now you're here.
It worked out
It's
perfectly.
just meant to be. Yes.
So something interesting I think I'll bring up right away now that he's here, because people love evidence for things, which they should. I mean, evidence of things is good. We should try to follow the breadcrumbs and get to the truth.
Yeah,
you've done a lot of research on the Montauk Project, and as far as the music stuff, you recovered a record there, really old record, a very old song, and you actually had a guy professionally restore it, and you're able to listen to it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, Brian?
Sure. Actually, it was the first time we went on August 12th, collaboration. I just started the YouTube channel, met Dark Arrow Paranormal, Michael Roser, Mike.
Another super awesome guy.
Long Island Bigfoot here. And he's, we were somewhere in the middle of that day, we were walking down along the bluff, along the coast. There's a road, Old Montauk Highway. And off the side of the road there, Mike just wandered. He was like led to it. He found this reel-to-reel, old 7-inch reel-to-reel. It's aluminum reel, and it's like a 1/4-inch tape So that's what they used to use in all the recording studios, and you could do multi-tracking and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what we use.
This is what the target is tonight, by the way, is a recording
I've talked
studio.
to like hundreds of music people that used to do recording from studios over, because when I put the videos up, I got comments and we started talking, and they give me all kinds of tips on how to further get stuff off of this, but also that the Air Force was able to record RF. Actually, they used RF data on these. So if you put it in a tape machine, you wouldn't hear anything. You'd have to have a computer to see the data. But at the same time, the guys that were bored on their ships could also record music on it. He said they've been known to have audio and RF. So there may be a whole layer that we didn't even see. But anyway, Mike found this reel, and we're like, no way this thing's gonna play. It's covered in mud and like roots growing through it. But we started cleaning it up. I took it home and I sent it out to some of those professional companies, a few of them that you see on TV. Like, I don't even want to say their names. They all rejected it. They said they could do it, and then they sent it back to me. So I'm like paying the fees, sending them off with all high hopes, waiting. It took months and months in between. Everybody's waiting. And then, yeah, I got some strange message. Somebody paid like a PayPal donation just to talk, to get in touch. And it got really weird. They wanted to meet me in Queensbridge, which is like housing projects in New York, like right across from Manhattan in Queens. And they wanted to meet me. They were going to be in a white van. I'm like, all right, these guys are going to tase me. And like, so I'm like, I made up an excuse like, oh, something happened to my car, which it did actually. And then we got into an argument. They were really aggressive. And then I told them, don't be like a baby about this. I said, you want to know what's on it? I want to know what's on it. Let's just go do this. And so I rode with these total strangers, which now looking back, I think they were kind of shady. I don't know who I rode with, but we both wanted to know what was on it. So we carried this thing down the street in Brooklyn, this big old reel-to-reel machine up the stairs in the studio, sat there all day cleaning it up, kept playing it, it kept breaking. And then we finally got some music off it and they let it run to record the whole thing. So I stuck my little GoPro camera in the headphones, and that's where I got that small sample, because it turns out they did like an interview with me. I never got any of that stuff from them. They promised to give me the recordings, never did. Then when I asked them, they said our mics were hot. So it was like talking over the recording and messing it up. I said, I don't care. I can listen right through that. I want to hear it anyway. And then they just like ghosted me. So they took it. They wanted to know what was on it. They got they got the whole thing, and I have half of it. So they transferred off this old thing that was in the ground onto a brand new plastic one, which I still have. Then I took that and sent that out to different companies. They said, yeah, no problem. They rejected it, sent it back to me with some like BS letter and excuse on why they couldn't do it. But then a subscriber gave me a brand new reel-to-reel machine from like the 70s, and it's really nice. And I think we can do it. I just have to get another blank one. And I'd like to do it with somebody who had some experience. I got a ton of tips from people. So it's still an open project in a way. And what was on it was, regular music. It was backwards, but looking at the backwards speech every 30 seconds, the CIA used to use for interrogation. We tend to say things backwards that we mean with our subconscious every 30 seconds. So they'll watch like presidential speeches or like famous speeches and try to find those little backwards parts every 30 seconds to see people's true intent. So in that music, you hear like the little piece I did get from that reel. It's like, don't drink the water. And like, there were some really weird messages, something about blood, give your blood. That was one of them. There was like 3 distinct ones. And when I lined them up on the timer, it was every 30 seconds. So it was really interesting. And it's still like, a lot of people just think, oh, it's playing backwards. There's a lot of the comments, but it's a long story and there's a lot of details and still a lot more to figure out with that. But what I think that happened is when they were cleaning out the base, that's the road you would have to take with the dump truck, because there's a lot of hairpin turns, as you know, in Camp Hero. And if you have a big truck filled with stuff, that's a nice straight road. So I could just hit a bump, rolled off the top. It was probably like a whole truck full of good stuff. And I see a lot of old pictures in Camp Hero's old buildings, the computer center, the computer building. They had a whole walls of reel-to-reel recorders, in the pictures. So interesting.
Well, okay, Arkheim, what do you think about that, Arkheim, with what he just said about, it's almost like subliminal messaging about the blood. Okay, what do you think?
mean, it's just kind of confirming what I'm saying, that this was a way to mind control people. But the part that I think has been overlooked for a really long time is the fact that we were laundering money through the music industry and making a lot of money. I mean, building stargates and stuff like this is not cheap. And we couldn't just rely on like tax money or something like that. We needed our own ways of getting money, because this was like very expensive
Exactly. Yeah.
work we were doing, and it gets as crazy as like certain inventions, even like very innocuous ones, even like I remember we got involved. Well, I did some research, and it's just kind of weird, but the chocolate chip, they call it a chipper ice cream sandwich. I talked about how they used to pay me with those. When I was a kid, they asked me because they're feeding you dog food and all this stuff and starving you, and then if you do this thing that we want you to do, well, you can eat whatever you want. What do you want? And one of the things I always said was the ice cream sandwich, the chipper. And when we did all these timeline changes or something, I don't know what it was, if it didn't exist anymore or whatever, but I looked into it, and the guy who invented the ice cream sandwich, the chipper ice cream sandwich, he brought to New York, and it was like this whole operation. He had like 30 different boys going out at the same time with ice cream carts selling these ice cream sandwiches. And I find out they made millions of dollars, but somehow went bankrupt 3 times, and nobody can understand how they went bankrupt, even though they're making millions of dollars. And get this, it gets crazier. The ice cream sandwich company, the chipper company, I can't remember what it was called, but it was connected to a Swedish aerospace company.
Oh wow, that's
the ice
crazy.
cream sandwich. So it just confirmed like this weirdness that like
I got ties to that for you if you want. Because recently,
Yeah,
one of the new things, one of the oldest things in the lore that I was digging up some of the early internet lore, and the Charles Food Company was a way to embezzle money from into the Montauk Project through Malta, as it was said by like some of the older, I think it was Mr. Coffee or I don't know who they had different names, and then they became
the Schwan Company.
It was called Charles Food Company, and it had to do with
Charles.
Yeah, it's a major food company, and they said that was one of them. But also, I think of when we found those records on base built to the Montauk Air Force Station in 1987, long after they're closed, and that was for a food company and all these food supplies. And the other people that, I talked about that on TV. I didn't have the evidence because we threw it, but then over the years, all these other people found these checks and everything that we found, and I've been documenting all these other people. They wrote about it publicly too, and they found food service companies that were tied to aerospace companies. And I was just writing about that. So
like, and this is from like memories that I have and stuff and things that I remember. Another weird thing is I remember that the one that I remember out using when I was a kid is good humor. And something that's sketchy about this is right now there's a phenomenon going on all over the East Coast, particularly in Virginia, which is where the CIA is located, by probably no coincidence at all. There's all these kids going missing, like tons of kids going missing, and there's ice cream trucks roaming around at like 11 o'clock at night.
I've been hearing about that.
Yeah, and this is well documented. It's not BS. It's actually happening. It's all over the country, but mostly in like Virginia and Pennsylvania, and I think some in Ohio. And all these kids are going missing. And I find it weird that there used to be good humor ice cream trucks, and we've talked a lot about how there's a lot of PDF file Lelia. How do I say it?
Yes.
Getting past the algorithms here. Involved with Montauk, and even stuff that was filmed there and stuff like that. I've testified to, and all sorts of gross things like that. And what's weird about good humor is it's literally a heart, a big heart and a smaller heart, and that's literally one of the symbols that the FBI released. That is a symbol for little girl lover. Wow. And so that's just really weird to me. Really weird coincidence. Really, and now that we're seeing that, like, there's ice cream trucks that are like kidnapping kids, and it makes me wonder, like, how new this is. Obviously not a new thing, and yeah, what a perfect way to lure kids is with an ice cream truck, a literal ice cream truck. So it's just super weird and super, I don't think, random at all. I think it's no coincidence.
It's good to get the word out, because in the 80s, the milk cartons and the white vans out here, at least, everybody knew about the white vans that were going around. So it's like it spread fast, and then people were like on the lookout for them, like every white van now. People.
Yeah, Montauk used white vans a lot. White vans and yellow school buses.
Somebody just sent me the picture of Preston's yellow survival school bus in the Long Island Newsday here. Just today, they sent me that in a email. Just like, hey, look at this, and that's crazy. You brought that up. There's a lot of synchronicities today, but it was like the yellow school bus he had, and he used to drive around. It had all radio equipment in it, and who knows? This is It's a deep. There's a lot of information. It takes several people to constantly dig through this all the time.
Yeah, and I talked to this woman who recently passed away, and that's why I kind of feel like obligated to bring it up. I wanted to have her on my show. I didn't end up having her on my show. Her name is Renetta Jones, but basically she claimed to have invented like the iPad, like the first, because she was like, she went to school for like electronics and like all this stuff. She's a brilliant woman, and it sounds kind of wild, sounds kind of crazy, but she said she basically got like gang stalked, and like, obviously Apple stole the idea and she never got the credit for it. And I really do think that there's just this thing, like she might have not even actually invented it. It might have been her reinventing the wheel sort of thing. Like it's been invented a bunch of times, and there's, because you watch, like, that like when people invent like free energy cars and stuff like that, and
Plastic,
they get
turned to fuel. Recent.
That's one that just happened. The guy disappeared that could created a fuel that could be created from plastic. Exactly. We know that they control this and they don't want this out there. So, yeah, it's there's we're getting to the point, and Brian, you're a huge part of this, and I really just can't thank you enough for your work.
You don't have to, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're getting to the point now where the evidence is coming together.
Because
there is, I mean, and one of the things that you talk about, and it's in your book, is all the energy that was used at Montauk, the water. I mean, there are clearly a lot of people there. It was clearly like much larger operation than they say, and then they try to say there's nothing underground, but even the most rudimentary examination of Camp Hero shows that there's underground infrastructure. So,
and now we have records, going down not only World War II tunnels, but in the Cold War, the Air Force fallout shelters. We have on record 7 of them on documents. So there's pretty deep underground bomb shelters there for the that are nuclear fallout ready, and those are on record. So actually, 2 of those 3, there's 3 in this line right here, behind the radar, under the radar, and in the computer building in the front are 3 of them actually, but the others are pretty spread out across the base. Pretty cool though. And then this house you see there, that's an old World War II bunker. There's a deep tunnel under here that goes 35 feet under the ground, but it's already on a hill. So it's a ladder that goes down 70 feet and then a tunnel that goes 500 feet into Battery 113. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
So, and if people want to check this out, there's tons of video of this on Brian's channel, Montauk is Strange. It's a great YouTube channel with a lot of boots on the ground Montauk stuff. And yeah, it's just wild coming full circle, because I remember when I first started learning about Montauk and remembering things, I found your channel.
That's cool, man.
One of the craziest things that happened, dude, is one of your videos. You remember when you walk up, and I don't know if it was you or somebody sent it to you, but there's chanting and there's some sort of Somebody told me that I was there for that, and I was one of the people chanting. And then they sent me that video, and that's how I found out about you, dude.
Wow, that's insane.
They said that I was down there. My alter Jacob was down there, and it was in that ritual, and they remembered being there.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, the voices. It was actually really well carried out tune that they were singing. I mean, the vocals were good. It had really great reverb, but it was it
was obviously something occult or like satanic or something.
Yeah, it was. They were saying, "Lo, the eye of darkness, evil." I looked it up. It had something to do with Saturnalia, and it happened to be on December 18th, which is Saturnalia.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a coincidence.
I
don't know if that's a coincidence, and it was just some New Yorkers that were just doing that stuff, that they just have those beliefs, or if it was actually like me, like this guy said. But that's literally how I found your channel.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and with the compartmentalized memories, I don't remember that. I don't remember being there. I don't remember doing that, but that does not mean it's not true.
You know what's else crazy about that is one of the people that were watching my video, one of my subscribers, and probably you guys might know him too, but he took a whole bunch of screenshots and he sent them to me. And that whole day, as I was walking past the sealed bunker, it's like a twin of it. And then that one, there was this white face looking out of the windows, out of the sealed bunker. Every time I walked past, it looked like a big gray alien head, kind of like just pale white, 2 big eyes. And it was really creepy. Once he showed me, I saw this thing in multiple places peeking out. And I was like, "Where'd you get this?" He's like, "These are freeze frames from your video." I'm like, "That's really weird." But same day you're talking about, so it's a lot of stuff going on that day.
Brian, Can I ask you? Did you hear those voices with your own ears, or did you hear it through the recording when you played?
Oh no, they were singing. I was gonna climb in there, and they were all singing. And
you could literally hear it, and he was. I could tell that you're like, maybe I'm getting. You're like, maybe I'm getting a little too deep into the thick of this.
Yeah, I was gonna I
don't want to become another Lost Boy.
Right.
I almost went up and just said hello, and I just want to see the bunker. But then I heard what they were singing, and I'm like, all right, good thing they didn't hear me yell at. And then I just sat there and recorded it, and then I just left. I was like, nope, I'm out of here.
I mean, just from doing the research of doing cryptid investigations and things like that, we do cover areas. A lot of areas that have cryptids on them are what people consider to be cursed lands, and people go and do satanic rituals out there and stuff like what you're describing right now. It's almost like
there's a lot of death on that property. You're right. That's Camp Wyckoff. It's like where Teddy Roosevelt had the first returning soldiers from a foreign war. The first VFW, first Red Cross, was all out in Montauk in 1890s. And it was a Spanish-American War. They came home and they all had malaria, yellow fever, and they had a big internment camp, thousands of tents. So on that property, it was a lot of people, death and sickness. So yeah, I mean, all kinds of leftover energies, and then people do practice different religions and occult type stuff out there. I even found a website where two different groups of witches were fighting over who did the ritual wrong on Turtle Cove, and they were arguing. They were having a website battle between their two groups. They were over how they did it or whatever. I was like, this is really interesting. This stuff happens and nobody else really knows about it. And I never even saw it before after all my searching. But yeah, apparently there's people that go there for the energy itself of the land, surfers included. Like today, the waves are crazy because of the hurricane, and people are going crazy down there with the waves. But it's always a famous surf spot, Turtle Cove, for the energy. So there's this whole thing about that land that there's more to it than just the story, which makes me think, did they choose this place to build this here and perform certain tests and experiments here for that reason?
Oh, they absolutely did.
Yeah,
it's just chosen for a reason. That rock, Council Rock, has all these memories in it. It's kind of because it can store energy and memory and stuff. And
this arrowhead down there, it's pure quartz. It's it's this is the kind of arrowheads they have locally, but there's so much quartz here. Like you're saying, all that energy. And Council Rock is quartz and granite, I think.
And the Native American tribes there were, they would meet at that Council Rock, and there's the Montauk tribe, which is what Montauk is named after. So awesome. Pretty interesting.
Hey, I wanted to get a signed copy of your book if I buy one and send it to you. If you scribble on it and send it back.
Absolutely. Just send a copy for me to keep if you could. And I wanted to, because I bought the Kindle version of it when I
want your book too. Yeah, I'll trade you one. But
yeah, we could trade. But one of the things we could do is we can maybe do it in person, because
there you go. That's cool.
I want to do another Montauk trip, and I want to do one where I'm gonna interview people and stuff, but I want it to be a little bit more personal this time.
Yeah,
because the last time I was surrounded by all these people, and
it was a lot of people at once.
And I want to be able to kind of be more reflective and take it in more, and I want Kat to be able to be there with me.
Cool.
So I'm planning on coming again soon, but I want to film a documentary about Montauk. Definitely. And I want it to be because there's already been a bunch of them. I want it to be about the fact that there's a lot of us, the fact that there's so many.
Yeah.
That are public, and I want to interview as many of us as possible, because I think I actually counted one day with a piece of paper and a pen, and I think there were at least 20 people that I knew that were public, counting Stuart Swerdlow and stuff like that too. Yeah. But still, that's a lot of people. There's probably more, honestly. What it makes me think too, you guys, is because I know with the projects, they would send us on missions, and due to the security of the mission or whatever, they wouldn't tell us what was going on. And I've talked about Monarch programming and how we would get sent into missions and we wouldn't really know what's going on until we activated, and then we would know what's going on. And I kind of think that might be going on right now, because AI is about to happen, and it's such a huge deal, dude. It's the hugest deal. It's the biggest event in human history in the past thousands of years. So I kind of think that we're all here to prevent some sort of AI thing, actually. I'm not sure though, but like why? And another thing is, a lot of people always ask me, and I haven't always had the best answer, but I thought about it recently, and this actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. People always ask, why would they allow all these like time soldier spy people to be public and talk about this stuff?
Mhm.
Well, what I realized is when I thought about it is when you were in these projects, I've talked about this a lot, how, they'd be like, they'd hand you a gun or whatever and hand you all these instructions or whatever and be like, you need to go back in time and kill this guy. And you'd be like, okay, why? And they'd be like, did we fucking tell you to ask us why? You just do your job, asshole. They had this security culture. And even Stephen Greer, verifying this, talks about how, one of the things that really sucked about working at Area 51 is I can't talk to the guy who's over here working on the propulsion, and the guy who's working on the propulsion can't talk to the guy who's working on the outer shelling of the craft. And it's like we can't even communicate with each other because of the secrecy. And that's why I think that we're all here right now and we're public, is because they've all assumed, and maybe there's some reality to it too, I don't know, but they've all assumed that we just we're supposed to be here for a time mission, and it's don't ask, don't tell. And I feel like, because you know what it is loose lips sink ships, right? That's why I've said to people, that's why time travel exists, and the military owns it and they don't tell anybody about it, because it's security culture and it's super important technology and they got to keep it under wraps. But what happens if that kind of culture, that kind of security culture, gets pushed to the brink, to the point where, all right, the engine room is on fire, but the engine room can't communicate with the front of the ship, the captain? Not allowed. You got to go through the proper protocols. Here, sign these, do this, do that, go through these networks that you got to go through, get the information approved. You don't understand, sir, the engine's on fire. You got to follow it by the book. Like, think about it. Like, they can't even communicate with themselves. So that's why I think we have all these Montauk time soldiers out here who are public, is because they've got such a messed up, like overly redundant security culture that they just all figure that we're supposed to be out here. Yeah. Doesn't that kind of make sense if you think about it? Like, I don't know.
I think it's a great idea to do that because, I've only been able to focus on so much, and all of those stories. I even wrote that a few times, like, I'm glad everybody else is diving in and covering each person's account actually is like a whole book. So like just promoting, like one person's doing one thing, one's doing another. And I've also tried to go from the front and get some of the people who are like non-believers or they're not thinking about this at all, or maybe they're just purely logical and purely skeptical. And I try to bring some of that slightly over, to make it, some of this is possible, and not you don't have to believe in the whole spectrum of it, like from time travel down to, but if you start considering some of it, if there's people that just automatically write it off too. So I was trying to widen the consideration for it in the front side, but everybody's coming with their own experiences, and I think that's awesome. And to compile it and make a documentary, like that kind of idea is always great. Michael started it. He had everybody, DHP's documentary, everybody that was in the house that day, but to go and work on it over time and get all of them, like you said, like the whole panel, it would be fully
there's so many of us, and we can all collaborate on testimony. And for me, man, like a lot of my testimony is like so dark, and a lot of things that I did are really fucked up. Like it's like me kind of confessing to crimes in a way, almost like my testimony. And like for instance, like I have my brother from the programs, John Whitberg, who I'm not talking to because he's so traumatized by the stuff that he went through with me in the programs. And I read his book, and it verifies all my memories, the things I remember from Preston Nichols letting me have the sandwich in front of the other kids. He talked about the sandwich in there because he did that to make all the other kids hate me, so I could only go to him. That's why Preston did that. He would let me eat while all the other kids were getting fed dog food. He would let me have some of his sandwich in front of everybody to make them all hate me. But anyway, like there's all these different people's testimony. Christy Campbell, where she talks about how I would make the kids eat. When they're eating, I'd be like, you get 4 bites of food and all this crazy shit. And like, if they took a 5th bite of food, I'd freak out and start beating them and stuff. Like, look, I don't know who would admit, and they're telling the truth. Like, who would admit to any of this shit? That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, we committed war crimes. Like, lots of people died. Like, there were, as far as I know, there's over 30,000 people. Have been saying 10,000. It says in John's book it's over 30,000, and I tend to believe him. His memories are a bit clearer than mine. Children, most of those people, children who perished in these projects. And, you know, some of these people, there are people we cared about. Like, for instance, I talk about Sergeant Stan Mulgrave, who wrote the song The Sound of Silence. Yeah, this is not a guy who's around who you can find talking about the stuff for public now. He only exists in our memories of the projects. And that's because he actually did die in the projects. It can happen. They're able to keep us alive forever through cloning and stuff like that. But let's say you fall out of a plane into a volcano or something crazy where your body's not recoverable, we might lose you. We might actually lose you and not being able to recover you. And people are like, oh, why don't you go back in time and get them before you did that? It's more complicated than that. It doesn't work that way. But yeah,
I like his book, John. You know, I talked to him a little bit, and we traded books, and I started reading. And actually, it was weird. He wrote about the bottom of Battery 216 had urinals or something like 4 floors down. And the crazy thing is, I got a comment from a Cub Scout or something that went there, and he's, you know, grown up now, but when he was young, went down there in the 70s. It was abandoned at the time, and they went down 4 stories, and he told me there were urinals and stuff down there. So like these two people never talked or met each other, even know each other. They don't know of each other. I just find these weird connections, like from the normal world, from the author's world, and tying them together helps too. Like,
yeah, isn't it surreal too when it happens? And like, I remember when I first found out I was a part of this, and it was really freaking me out. And I had a synchronicity. You know, right now we're having all these synchronicities. While I was having the synchronicity, I found out it was within the couple of weeks that I had found out. They actually called it Project Phoenix 2, and I had memories of like there being actual Phoenix there and stuff like that, and how Phoenix could open portals. And I remember being so overwhelmed and thinking like, this is like some fantasy, wild, fucking crazy shit. Like, am I losing my mind? Like, are me and all these other people that remember this like crazy? You know what I mean? And my mom comes home one day, and, you know, my grandma had passed away, and she comes home with this necklace right here. All right, and I've talked about this a lot here. See that?
It's a scarab beetle.
It's a phoenix.
Egyptian. Oh, it's a phoenix. Cool. I thought it was a scarab. Wow.
That is cool.
That's beautiful. Uh-oh, we lost the audio.
Oh,
Make sure your cords are plugged in.
Me?
You're muted now, Arkheim.
Oh, okay.
Hit the mute button. No, Arkheim. Oh, dang.
The phone is really touchy. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, we got you. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. What were we talking about
your
again?
Necklace, your grandma.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And what's crazy about this necklace is, okay, so first of all, it's a phoenix coming out of a portal, and had this memory of like how phoenixes open portals, and that just, like, when my mom came home, she's like, oh, I just thought you'd think it's cool, and I was like, what the fuck, Mom? I was like, your grandma had this? I was like, have you ever seen her wear it? She's like, no. I put it in our family thing on Facebook. No one had ever seen my grandma wear this necklace, ever.
Whoa.
And I got back the memories, and I tend to think it's real, of me finding out about this life, how I'd be implanted it and stuff like that, and meeting her in Italy while she was on vacation, and using the excuse that we were both Americans to like start chopping it up with her. And I ended up hanging out with her, drinking some wine, stuff like that. And I left her a little gift basket that had like some chocolates and stuff like that. And one of the things was this necklace. And she probably just thought, that's odd, and just left it. And I think I did it so that I would end up with it.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just, and to me, it's like the craziest thing. Like, and if you look this up, this is a one of a kind necklace. I've never been able to find any other necklace like it. And another thing that's kind of weird about it too is Max Spears would always wear this dragon necklace. And I talked about it with John, and John remembered it too. At some point in the project, or maybe it was John or maybe it was Joseph, I can't remember, but there's somebody else I talked about it who was also at Montauk who did remember how like some sort of event happened, and it was like we accomplished something, but it was also super traumatic at the same time. And we kind of, as a reward, like as medals, gave ourselves these medallions, these necklaces, and this one was mine. And then, Max Spears, because he was part of the project, guys, he got the dragon one. And that's the reason why he's so protective over that dragon necklace. And he always wore it, just like me with this necklace. It's because he probably knew, or even if he didn't know on a surface level, like instinctively, he knew how important it was to him. And these are also connected to where if you go through a portal and you need to get back to this reality, this portal can scan it, because some gateways are like alive. It can scan it and knows what reality to send you to. It's like a grounding thing to the reality that you're from. I know that sounds crazy, but
it's like the
I've
the
been
link
talking about that.
Yeah,
I've been
the
talking about
whirligig.
that kind of stuff lately. Actually, Arkheim, we've been talking about needing to have a piece of jewelry, a bracelet, a belt, something like that. I think James was talking about that last week. You got to have some kind of jewelry to be able to get through portals. Okay.
Yeah.
And to be in this density. Yeah, to be in the density with, like in the third dimension, basically.
Yeah, the link to your place of origin.
Mm-hmm.
So you can return or something like that.
Yeah, and another thing about Montauk too is everybody talks about time travel so much with it, but we're going to alternate realities. It's really important. Preston talked about it. Al Bielek talked about it. Those guys all talked about it, and it was true. You ever listen to that interview on Channel 3X, Brian, Remembering and Knowing with Larry James and Al Bielek?
Yeah, I've watched. So there's like literally like 200 videos on there, and they're all like 45 minutes. But I've watched like a good chunk, 75% of them.
That one, I talk about it in my book, and I've talked about it a lot, because in that one they admit to kidnapping children. They're asked if they care about the children's lives. They're like, oh, they're all like homeless kids, so they didn't really matter. So they basically say no. They're asked if it traumatized them at all to kidnap these kids. They basically say no. They also testify to the fact that not all kids were just random kids off the street. Some of them were being taken through portals and they had to be put back into their normal lives. That interview is a crazy interview. He called us they called us guinea pigs, and they literally laughed about us dying in the portals and getting lost in the portals.
Al said where the bodies were buried at Camp Hero, basically.
He might have.
Because like that's what I think one of those from 3X, one of those Al Bielek interviews is why we when I was on with that History Channel science team that they had, they were testing up on the bluffs because Al Bielek had said that was the spot where there was like hundreds of bodies. So that's what they were actually looking for on that show. And they did, we did like magnetometer. They did the magnetometer. I was just there to watch, but and also metal detecting and all kinds of. Then they did, Geiger counter elsewhere, and a better kind of way to look down into the earth, like a slice down right in front of the radar. But up on the cliffs, we did find a patch where it was disturbed soil, where a big pit was dug and then filled back in with a different kind of soil, basically, like looser or just pushed in. They could see like the difference, like a pit carved out. So it was interesting, another science and legend lining up, which is cool.
That's just terrible.
It's coming from that, I think, that same interview you're talking about. I'm pretty sure, but nobody knows, if there were or not. And we had to look, though. We figured, let's look here. It's like a needle in a haystack there, because the property's 468 acres. Now it's 700 acres. They added the Western Woods, but it's a huge place. So they could have, plus you're on the ocean there, so it's very hard to get. Of course.
What's wild about Montauk is how beautiful it is. And
it is.
It's such a beautiful place.
Darkness and beauty and
Nathan says, what happened to our little ones will be the catalyst that unites humanity. So many are to know the scale of what has taken place. And so thank you.
I remember other timelines, and I can see the future, and it might not happen, it might happen, but I tend to think that it is going to happen. Usually what happens is there's a lot of events that happen in 2028 that make it hard for humanity. We really get woken up by the AI thing, because it's so science fiction and it just happens overnight, like so fast that people are like, damn.
Yeah.
They kind of
waste the Terminator. We should know better.
Yeah, it's like ChatGPT just took over.
Yeah,
the robots are having babies now. They're all pregnant with humans, by the way.
Yeah, Matrix style. Will be in the.
It's crazy stuff, but
yeah,
I forgot what I was going to say about the point I was going to make, but
it is good everybody is out there and doing what they're doing, because time is the time is ticking, and so It's just everybody's doing it coming from their own angle, which is great. Because if you look at it as one big thing, everybody's doing it together.
And that's kind of why I want to make this documentary that's like lots of people. And you definitely need to be a part of it, obviously, Brian.
I'd be honored to, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that we should get some footage at Montauk together because you can kind of show me around. And I'd love to have you be a part of that. But it's an idea that I had a long time ago, and Catherine, my partner, just reminded me, like, you gotta do that. Like now, like do it faster. Like, why are you waiting on this? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Arkheim Retro Band said you were going to tell us the future. What you see in the future? That's when you got stumped.
Okay, so
and then we got to get to the remote viewing
in an alternate future that's a positive timeline that I've been to. The truth about Camp Hero does come out. There ends up being a court trial. The Native American tribes of Canada and the United States are involved in it, as well as a lot of the MILAB survivors, because it's just more and more of us just keeps coming, and it gets to the point where it's undeniable that these programs are real. I mean, if you think there are a lot of us now, just wait. More and more are just going to keep coming out.
I mean, you guys might be shocked. You wouldn't be shocked, but you would. A lot of people would be shocked at all the people who come to me to talk about their memories of possibly being in these programs, but they don't want to speak publicly about it at all, and they haven't told me.
I do it too.
And these are like upstanding members of society, like older people, and
when I went public, one of my best friends got memories back of also getting taken out of Johnson Elementary School, and they had to go to a mental institution, like for real. Yeah. And they could have lost their job, but their job was super cool and understood, and just was like, we're glad you got the help you needed, and took her back. But like, yeah, this stuff is serious, you guys. It's really serious. I also have friends who died, friends who were in the projects, 2 of them, who mysteriously passed away after we reconnected and they found my content. And they both died just out of nowhere from an aneurysm.
Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. So, and I think it has to do with the projects. But what I'm trying to get at is, I've seen timelines where we build a rose garden at Montauk. We try to plant have a rose for every child. So 30,000 roses. So we make this big rose garden. The reason why roses is because roses are beautiful, but you can't pick them. You'll hurt yourself. And it's like these children should have been left alone. They should have been allowed to be who they were, and they weren't. And is it like a hotel, that big building over there?
The Montauk Manor.
Yeah, it gets turned into a museum, which is about Project Phoenix 2. And the mainstream media wants to interview me and all these other people. And in this timeline, it might not be this timeline. I really hope so. I personally, and a lot of my comrades, tell them to go fuck themselves. And we do interviews with people like you guys, because you were there the whole time, and people, and eventually, I remember doing Late Night with David Muir, and I have that guy interviews me. I remember being interviewed by David Muir. So that happens in another timeline, and I tend to think that it's probably going to happen in this timeline, honestly. I think it'd be weird if it didn't happen in this timeline, because there's just so much evidence coming out and stuff, and so much smoking gun stuff that's coming out. And I just think that it's just going to get to the point where the government is not going to be able to deny this stuff anymore. The public is not going to be able to deny this stuff anymore. Like, I really do think that within the next few years, the next half a decade, we're going to see a lot of things where this cognitive dissonance, this veil that humanity has put over itself, where it's like, oh, I saw that in a movie, so it can't be real. Yes, try saying that when you see robots walking down the street.
Pregnant robots.
And yeah, and you know what I mean? And you got AI. There's no tellers anymore. It's all AI. It's like, hey, I take your order and shit. Like, when you're living in that world, try saying that none of it's real. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like living in this kind of world of antiquity that we've all lived in for so long has been part of the whole program of keeping our people under control. It's because, like, oh, that technology, that's hundreds, thousands of years from now. Time travel, maybe someday we'll figure that out. And it's like, no, people just don't understand how crazy it gets. It's all, there's nothing new under the sun. Aliens have already invented everything we could ever possibly think of. You know what I mean? We're just reinventing the wheel over and over again. I mean, they found batteries in ancient Egypt. You know what I mean? In ancient Sumeria.
Yeah. It's like a jug of wine and a copper tube and a
Coils and all
lead
that.
core.
Drill bits.
It's like a regular battery. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, light bulbs.
It's really wild, y'all. And I wanted to. We probably let's move over to the recording studio pretty soon, because I know we have not gotten to the remote viewing data and stuff, and we've got Brian here. And so, Brian, you know a lot about the layout of Montauk, and you know there was a recording studio. You actually have some tapes, okay? And Arkheim gave me 2 blind remote viewing targets. Mm-hmm. And my friend Susan, who's in the chat tonight, is also a very wonderful remote viewer and trained with me. Actually, she's trained a lot longer than I have. She did this, and she and I have very similar data for both of these targets, y'all. Okay, and the first target is the recording studio. Now, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman has a question for you, Arkheim. He says, "Have you seen the Tribe Called Quest music video, the space program?"
I haven't seen it yet. I'll watch it. But people want to check it out, my Patreon, patreon.com/Arkheim Ra. I do reactions of music videos all the time, because they're literally just straight up showing you that these songs are from the programs, and they're showing you what the programs are in these videos, to the point where it's absolutely mind-blowing how in your face is. Like Rammstein Adu is like a really good example of one where it's just like they go to a facility where their clones are, and below the facility where their clones are, there's another one with Britney Spears where she does that. Anyway, all these music videos, they show you in plain sight, you know, all this stuff. And I will, just because you commented to that, I will make sure to watch that, and I will react to it, and I'll give my interpretation of the symbology and stuff to it. But yeah, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Arkheim Ra. And one of the things that's really cool about it is people can subscribe for free. Most of the content is free. Only a small amount of it is behind a paywall. But if you do want to pay, obviously it helps me a lot. So I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, I have not watched that music video yet, but I will watch it. Not only that, I'll react to it and tell you what I think of it on my Patreon.
Thank you. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you, Sovereign. We appreciate it. Okay, well, let's get into this. Let's go over the first target, okay? Because I have a lot of data for this, and I was given a set of coordinates. That's all I had, and I got a lot of data. Arkheim, tell me exactly what this target. Tell the audience what the target is. And
so the first target was the main recording studio at Montauk, where everybody recorded music. It was a communal space where anyone could pretty much record when they wanted to. It was first come, first serve. So if somebody was there, you pretty much had to like wait to use the recording studio. So that's why I had Preston bring in some more music equipment, and I built a rudimentary like Studio B, like smaller recording studio in my room, so I could make music whenever I wanted to, and I didn't have to wait around for people if they're using the recording studio. So first target was the main recording studio, and the second target was the rudimentary, smaller, like demo recording studio, basically, that I made in my bedroom.
Okay, this is of course the AI that I made for the show. Okay,
Oh, cool.
I tried to do like an underground bunker kind of thing, like a recording studio with some MKUltra artwork and the Cryptid Huntress in the background.
Can you put that back?
Sure. In a picture, that's Arkheim right there.
It did look a lot like that, except at the back, at the wall there, there was a Ghost poster, the band Ghost, and there was the real was on a table back there with a mixer, and there was 2 amps, a bass amp and a guitar amp, and there was a bass amp and an electric guitar, and there was like a Moog synthesizer or something like that on the table back there as well, which actually that kind of almost looks like one. But yeah, there are other synthesizers over the sides here and stuff like that, and drum machines, and and I also had like my bed in the room, so there would have actually been like a bed, like probably to the left over here, but it would have been like just in the frame probably. But it actually did look a lot like that. Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Awesome. Okay, that was how I envisioned it.
I like that.
But
I like the Lucifer back there too from the book.
Lucifer, I included Lucifer. Oh. Well, Arkheim and I did a whole show on Lucifer at some point, and actually the horse is on Arkheim's book.
Yeah, that's why I painted him too, a little one. I was just holding him up. I love that. Cool. That's from the and I have the golden horse right there. I don't know if you can see it from the cover. Of
and see it's one and the same. And
exactly.
Do you know about why that is?
I wrote
they do that
chapter about that, just guessing, but I didn't know anymore.
I'm curious to hear your guess. What do you think it's for?
I was wondering why they would plate it in gold. I mean, but over time, because I looked up, this is fiberglass, and fiberglass can last for a very long time. But I was looking at like Ayurvedic things to see how long it would collapse, and I don't know. I guess they replated it in gold. I think it's to mark the city that's underground that was used for long time human living for at some point. You know.
Yeah. No, I've been so. I
But that's a
have
guess,
been
of course.
when I was in the future. I lived as L18213B, I think was my name, and I lived in that Denver city. And it's like the AI controls everything. And it's like the Sound of Silence and stuff like that.
Wow.
I remember that. But the symbol of the horse is basically a horse is like a creature that is free. It can live in the wild and be wild and free, and it doesn't need anything or anyone. But man breaks down the horse and turns it into essentially a vehicle and rides around on it. And that's what the computer is doing to mankind right now. That's what the AI is doing to mankind right now. And that horse is a testament to what it did to us right in our faces without us realizing what it is. So these people walk past it every day and they have no clue. It's literally the robot. It's literally the AI, the overseer mocking them.
It's the Trojan horse, basically.
Just think about it. An AI.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you how this goes too. When the AI first comes, it's fucking awesome. People got to work less. It figures out all this stuff for us, and the world gets really cool. In a lot of different ways. There's a lot of because it's a balancing act, because people lose their jobs and they got to get replaced. Like it does, but after a little bit, after some hiccups, it's actually not that bad to have AI. But what it is people start using it for everything. They start using it for literally everything. And you can see it right now that like it's going to make us stupid. It's going to make us unable to use our brains, because even right now, ChatGPT is not being used right now because school isn't in session, bro. Once school is in session, it goes up like 80% of usage. The teachers are using it, and the student. Our cognitive capacity is going to go to shit.
Oh my god!
So fast, dude.
People are using it to write books now.
It's a glass of water every question. Like one glass of fresh water is used.
What Peter Thiel says is it's a teaspoon, but it probably is a glass of water. Man, I don't trust that wizard.
Who asked one question?
Right? Peter Thiel is an anagram for the reptile, which is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Who
asked just one? To ChatGPT. Probably people use it all day.
Yeah. It's just weird to me, but
that's a big topic there. But you're right.
But we got to get back to the recording studio.
I'm team human, by the way. I'm all about humans. Okay, and I'm just saying, I'm not.
Do you hear how people are calling the AIs clankers now and stuff?
My son's name on my son is Clanker or something on some. Yeah,
Clanker is like a derogatory term towards robots. That exists.
It's but people get offended by that. That's weird to me.
Nobody yet.
It's gone too far, y'all.
I think only the robots get offended by it. No, I don't know.
I think a bucket of bolts.
And what's funny, dude, what's funny is like I try not to be like ever derogatory to anybody, but I was like on the phone with PayPal because like this payment went through that wasn't supposed to go through and stuff, and it was a robot. I'm like, you fucking bloody clanker! I need to talk to a fucking human. I'm like, did I just do it?
It's gonna hang up on you. Oh gosh, I didn't realize that was a derogatory term. Okay,
just put you in some database.
We're talking about robots that but
yeah,
I don't whatever. But yeah, so let's look at the analytical overlay of the data before we end up at the 2-hour mark and we haven't even talked about it yet.
Yes, let's do this. Okay, so so Brian knows of the recording studio. This is a real place. Okay, us three actually all three have been to Montauk together.
Yeah.
Okay, before. And we know that this recording studio existed. Okay, is this underground? Because it's in my data. Whatever this is was underground.
Yeah, it was underground.
And it's in Susan's data too, by the way. Okay, underground, like it was deep underground, right?
Yeah, and, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was in the 4th sub-level or the 5th sub-level. I'm not entirely sure though, but it was underground.
So most of the fallout shelters were as deep as 4 levels, and some of the computer building, and that would make sense because they repurposed them in that time to use for remote viewing stuff, tape recorders, simple things like desks, pens, recording equipment, not so much like time travel equipment with big generators. They were talking about stuff you could test. This is in the 70s before. So yeah, that does make sense that I actually speculated about that in my book, that they reuse those for this kind of thing. So yeah, right off the bat, I would guess it would be one of those. And there's 7, but I would think it's near the center of the base, so it's one of the three there, and probably not the power plant because that's pretty much generators and heat.
That would probably
steam tunnel.
that would interfere with the noise of the studio.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, this is so wild. This data is, to me, it's amazing. I love remote viewing now. Okay, I was given a set of numbers, and I got all this data from this. Let's go through the sensory data first. Okay, and this may or may not make sense. Okay, but it's adjusted, alerted, flying, coasting, casted, lonely, covet, chaotic, trickster, blooming, and direct. That was my sensory data. Now my AOL is adjustment and adjustment bureau. Okay, a vehicle or a vessel. I heard hold on. I wrote down outcast. Wrote sentence or favors. Sentence and favors. Almost like sentence can be interpreted any way. It could be like a prison sentence or something potentially. But favors, millions, and I wrote convent and coven, witches and warlocks, which is interesting because you have a recording of some ritual going on, Brian. And Arkheim, you said that this was very much a part of the recordings with the music and stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so I wrote coven, witches, and warlocks, chaos magic. Okay, This is all for the recording studio, y'all. All right. I started feeling unwell during this target. I wrote unwell, and I heard, give me a break. Give me a break.
That's probably me. Me seeing you looking at me.
Probably so.
Literally. I probably was annoyed by the fact that you're looking at me.
Yeah, I was like, give me a break. I wrote down technology and glamored, which is interesting because glamour is like a spell as well, right? Like glamour magic. I'd written chaos magic or just glamored.
Yeah.
Is what I wrote down. And then I wrote down direct hit. Direct hit. Maybe it means like a hit song.
Oh, Fallout. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was my first.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Glamored would be like the process of, so I can explain something to you guys here. Everybody's heard of the devil, selling your soul to the devil comes. Well, that comes from Montauk, and we would actually like have a guy go through a portal with a briefcase or some sort of like magic technology or whatever, and a lot of times it would be a smart pad, and they'd figure this. Well, this guy's got some music emanating from this glass pad. Like they obviously are magic. They obviously are the devil. Whatever. We would get them to sign their souls to the Montauk Project to be time soldiers, and it's really weird. Like people are like, why would you use famous people for clandestine time soldiers? I've talked about this a lot. Time is like a blanket. The timeline is like a blanket, right? And everybody's like a marble. Everybody has a weight on the timeline, right? Well, we went back in time. We're doing all these tests. Penny Bradley talks about it because she's, before the old hat, before me, a couple generations before me, I think. And she talked about they're sending back in time just to do weird stuff like take an apple off of a food stand and see if it affected the timeline. And what they learned from those experiments is certain individuals, if a certain individual did one thing, it might not affect the timeline. But then they could send somebody to the exact same moment at the exact same time, do the exact same thing, and it would change the timeline. And then what they realize is that certain people have like a weight to them, where they make the timeline droop more. They affect the timeline more. So these are the kinds of people that they wanted for the timeline. And, that's why a lot of famous people, because think about it, famous people affect the timeline greatly. They change history. They change the world. They change music, the arts, movies, what have you. These are the kinds of people that we want in the projects. And it's, I'm not the only person who's talked about this. People like Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, John Lennon, Mac Miller, Tupac, Kurt Cobain. I could go on and on, all the famous people that were part of the Montauk Project that I personally know. Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin wrote What a Wonderful World, and a lot of songs that she does not get credit for, just like, all of us. Some of them she does get credit for, fortunately, which is good for her. Not all of us got that. Yeah, anyway, back to the data. I'm sorry if I'm overly
it's
explaining
wonderful.
things. We only have so much time.
We need the explanations too. This is wonderful. This is how we roll. Okay, so it's perfect. Okay, so that was my first page of data. There's the first 3 stages of data, which I think are pretty interesting because I am definitely picking up on covens, witches, and warlocks, and technology and even outcast in like a sentence of some sort, like maybe people being forced
That
to
what
be
you
there.
what you were getting from that is because I gave you me like as a target, like me working
Okay.
in the studio. um I was kind of like an outcast. Like everybody hated me at Montauk because I was one of 9 people who had their own office. Like I'm talking like Bielik, Al Bielik, Preston Nichols, John B. Alexander, Jack Pruitt. I had an office like all those guys did, and I was the head of cultural exchange at Montauk. I was the cultural exchange officer, and so I was in charge of all the music and stuff like that. And I found out about that, Brian, through John's book, and I found out why he like Ivan Roth is me in the book.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he
I
changed the
saw
name
that
a
name.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now I got to reread it
Jacob
with that in
Rothschild.
mind.
Jacob Rothschild was my actual name. He took some artistic liberty and changed the name around a little bit, as far as I can tell, because I don't remember being named Ivan Roth.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did see that multiple times. So now I'm going to read it in a new light again. Go back a minute.
yeah, and to me, it's a good example because it's like I don't feel very great admitting that I'm that character. He's kind of an asshole if you read the book, but it is what it is, man. That was me.
Okay. Well, let's get on. Let's continue with the data, shall we? Because I just talked about the witches and warlocks and the spells, whatever. The next thing I wrote down, I heard demon time. That's the next thing I wrote down on stage 4. I heard demon time. Some of my sensory data was aroused and diabolical. I wrote down around and patronized. I was picking up on a parallelogram or a square, a cube of some sort. I wrote down bending time and bending reality. All right, the next thing I did, I drew this interesting picture here of like a person projecting out to another person in some way. That's what I was seeing. So I don't know what that means. That may mean something to you, Arkheim.
That looks really familiar to me.
Looks like they also have a shield. And
yeah,
could be. It could be me remote viewing you or something too. I don't know. Could be anything. Okay, but that's what I was picking up on. But I was seeing something that was curved or bending, and that's when I wrote down bending time and bending reality. Okay, so it could be that. And I wrote down the Matrix, like the Matrix movie. And I heard there is no spoon. I heard there is no spoon, and I wrote down portal. Okay, so that's my second page of data. What do you think about that, Arkheim?
I mean, it's interesting. I don't really know what all of it means, to be honest with you. There is no spoon. It's kind of.
It's from the Matrix. It's a line.
Yeah, I know, but like, I just wonder what that means. And the
Something
first
about
time,
bending reality, I think. Probably.
Bending reality, that makes sense. What
What
do you think of it? What do you guys think of the data?
Uri Geller spoon bending right away for some reason.
Yeah. Well, bending spoons was part of our training in remote viewing, actually.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when he said spoon.
And that's what I did. And so I'm a trained remote viewer, and that's what they were doing down at Montauk, right?
Yeah, and that in those same kind of converted fallout shelters, which I thought was interesting. And then what you said about the devil in the music industry selling their soul, I thought it was interesting thinking of the Native American stories about Montauk and Connecticut and Long Island. The Long Island Sound was called the Devil's Belt, and there's the Devil's Hop Yard, and everywhere in Connecticut is Devil's this and that, and all these rocks in Montauk supposedly have like the hoof prints or the footprint of the devil, where he would jump, and he would also torment some of the people of the land at the time. So interesting, in the same land that somebody's making a contract, through music, and just another tie to like history or something that kind of rang true for a second there. Mm-hmm. I do think it would be the computer building downstairs, because that's where they had originally a bunch of vacuum tube computers, and when they upgraded, all those floors would be like gutted and converted into something to be used. That's where I saw the reel-to-reels, and there are huge underground in there. So I think that's probably where we're talking about. And I found records they connected that to the radar building. They called it to extend the mainframe, but that was the technical reason to build it at first, the military reason. But after it was converted, it's open to, now all we have is what you guys are finding for us, because nobody really can go down there. Actually, recently some kids just got in there and sent me pictures. Groups of strangers met, and they sent me all the kids are going down tunnels under the computer buildings, and down a hatch and down these long skinny tunnels. And when they got to the end, there's another tunnel that goes down. So it's in the floor hatching in there. So me and Mike got into that building through a vent. So technically you can access the underground through that building.
And it hasn't been flooded out?
It's
like
really bad
concreted
air
out?
in there. It's like toxic mold in there. But if you wore like a face respirator and some goggles, I think it would be easy to do. But yeah, that's probably the building we're talking about. And so far I was just listening to all the data is a lot. So I was trying to like, you know, I'm listening to you guys mostly. But yeah, I'll throw in connections when I can.
Oh, please do. Okay, so something else. I'm on the second target, I get more into like, I was picking up on a lot of like shipping container data. It felt like I was in a shipping container. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures of what I was seeing, and it looks just like the bunkers at Montauk, by the way. And Susan, in her target, the first target, she was picking up on compartments for storage, kind of like shipping containers too. Okay, so we're both picking up on that whole vibe there. But I've got one more page of data for this first target, and we'll get through this. So I was picking up on something that was mixed match. I wrote down homogeneous, whatever. Okay, homogeneous. I wrote down energy frequency waves, and I was seeing sound waves. Okay, so I just wrote down some waves right there. If you guys can see those.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I was seeing like sound waves, and I wrote down Google Chrome. I literally wrote down Google Chrome, and then I wrote the A word for it. It sounds like Google Chrome, but it's with the A, the blood that we were just talking about. I literally wrote that down. So that is in there. I wrote down some of my sensory data is like paused and wishing. I picked up on a data breach. I heard on a mission, full steam ahead. And then I was seeing something that looked like it was from the past, but it was futuristic. And then I wrote vice versa. Then it was futuristic. It looked like it was from the past. So it was really weird.
That's very Montauk.
So it was very swap. It was like the swap reality, right? I literally wrote down past but futuristic or vice versa. Weird vibe is what I wrote down.
That's like Montauk, because like we had like portals and time travel, but we listened to record players.
Yeah, I like that description myself.
It's like weird. So that's seriously what Montauk was like.
That's
it was like
perfect.
It was like being in the future and being in the past at the same time.
That's
somehow.
Literally what I wrote down. I said past but futuristic or vice versa, and that's what I heard on a mission, full steam ahead. And
the security breach is us talking.
Yes.
This is the security breach. This isn't supposed to be public information.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down the way I was feeling was it's on a strange vibe. I was very confused because everything was like backwards and vice versa. And then I heard a voice say locked in, and that was it. I literally did get kind of sick when I was doing these targets. I was feeling very nauseated the whole time I was doing them and stuff. So, but that was my first target. Now let's go to Susan's data for this. Okay. Because Susan was picking up on, she was hearing a crackling sound when she got into this. She was seeing different colors. She wrote down, the first thing she wrote down was underground facility.
Wow.
Underground facility right off the bat. And she said it was like she was in a spaceship, is the way she described it. She was hearing somebody say, "Why is this happening? And what is in front of it?" Is what she said. Why is this happening? She was smelling the odor of death. She said.
That's Montauk.
The odor of death. She said it was bigger than Earth. There were compartments for storage, and she actually drew a picture. I don't have it here because
bigger than Earth.
Bigger than she said something that was like bigger than Earth. She said it was huge. Wow. Yeah, bigger than Earth is what she wrote.
So
down.
Something that we had a technology for at Montauk was it's kind of funny when you see it too. Like there'd be a little, like when you go into Preston's office, Nicholas was his alter's name. It's this tiny little office, and then you walk in there, and it's this giant, huge room. We had a technology, spatial displacement technology, to make Montauk bigger than it actually was.
That sounds like some of the ET technology that Barry talks about with these UFOs, these spacecrafts.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like the X-Men Danger Room as well in the comics. There's this room they practice in, and it's like infinitely big, but there's actually like tiles. And
I've been in rooms like that. The endless white room. That's the way that they'll actually torture assets. Is they'll throw you into one of these rooms. It's just an endless white room.
Like the
Resident Evil, even.
Yeah, but there's not even a pack room because you just keep walking, and there's no walls, and it's just white, and it just never ends.
Wow.
Yeah,
that sounds like hell.
That's psychological.
That's
It is hell.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Wow.
Okay. Well, okay. So I said, she said, bigger than Earth. She was talking about the universe. She wrote down the word universe in here as well. And she drew what looked to be like storage units or something that were like stacked on top of each other. And it's really odd because in my next target, I was seeing shipping containers stacked and buried in the ground and stuff. Okay.
That's probably how they made our rooms.
Yes, I think it could be. I think it's buried shipping containers potentially, or it's something similar, because she and I both picked up on that.
That makes a lot of sense because the room is basically just like a box, no windows. You know what I mean? Okay. Nothing, very plain. Yeah. That makes sense.
Show you. Okay, it was almost kind of like this, like shipping containers, like
that is
something
crazy.
like that. I mean, check this out. This is actually a shipping container that's been buried in someone's yard. And look, doesn't that look very similar
that's
to
totally that's totally it, dude.
Yeah.
That's totally it.
Yes, this one.
Yeah. Do you see the entrance on the left side that slopes downward on an angle?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like the tube. That's exactly what we found on the History Channel with the electronic resistivity imaging. They nailed a bunch of spikes in like every 20 feet, like 100 spikes, and then they took a slice down into the earth 60 feet, and there was this giant metal thing like 60 feet long. It was down on an angle just like that. I printed it in my book, but that looks like it, literally.
Okay, because this is what I was seeing. I actually wrote this. I found this picture because this is what it looked like. Okay, and this is the inside of a shipping container right here. Okay, this is just the vibe I was getting. And here's actually the inside of one. This is what I was seeing. This is actually for your room target, Arkheim. What I was seeing, I was picking up on this.
Yeah.
That's the inside of a shipping container right there.
Yeah, dude, and wow.
And look, it kind of looks like that AI picture, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct.
Wow.
Okay. Well, anyways, this is what I was picking up on, and then Susan had written down containers for storage. She said, and I tend to believe that we were probably picking up on the same thing. Okay?
Yeah. Well, because I was. This makes sense. You know, I think that my room, when I was down there, they put me by storage so that when I made music, it wouldn't bother anybody. Think about it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no, like nobody. If I could be making music and there wasn't anybody close enough to me where I could be just jamming away loud as hell and no one would hear it. So they put me by the storage.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that's what I was picking up on. Okay, I heard. Okay, so Susan, this is on Susan's target. After she wrote compartments for storage, she wrote down, "Why are we here?" It's almost like she heard that voice or she questioned it. Why are we here? She said it was mind-boggling, disturbing, and troubling.
Yeah, and, we're Montauk people. We can see you looking at us.
Mm-hmm. Well, she said that she wrote down stars, heart, and heartbreak, underground facility, political scheme, and the mastermind was like a president. Okay, and that's the person that was responsible for whatever she was describing it was political. Let's just say political, and I'd say it is if it's government, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, part of it is making. Think about it. Everybody looks at American culture as so cool, so badass, so awesome. That was by design, you know. Like the police, Stuart Sutcliffe. Was that his name? I think I might be saying that, or is that the bass player for the old bass player for the Beatles? Anyway, the manager for the police, the band, the police, was literally a CIA agent. And there's just you could like if I were to I should just write the stuff down and I could go on for like 20 minutes of all the really weird coincidences in the music industry of military intelligence people and stuff like that are connected to certain people and stuff like that. It does get strange. And these are some of the breadcrumbs that, when you follow them, it might not be smoking gun, but it more than suggests that the government is involved in the music industry.
It definitely is. M13 says the manager for the Doors was connected to intelligence.
Yeah, and his father was the guy who was responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which is the first publicly known false flag attack by the United States.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, let's go to the second target, y'all. Okay, the second target is what, Arkheim? This is your room at Montauk, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your solid room where you slept, you lived, and you had a
I think there was another room, but I was. This was during a time where I was kind of not getting along with my partner, sometimes my wife. So I had a room with her, but this was like my room for me, where I want there to be left the fuck alone. And if people messed with me, they like people knew to not bother me. If I want, even Joseph Powell has talked about this. Christy Campbell has talked about this. Other people have talked about. Everyone knew if I was in that fucking room, leave me alone. You do not want to know what happens if you knock on that door. You do not want to find out what's going to happen. I'm going to freak out and something bad's going to happen. So, like, yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, let's get into this data. This is interesting. I think this probably is going to resonate, Arkheim. Okay. So my sensory data for the first target: complicated, performance, steady, grabbed, grand, dangerous, sleepy, drugged, and conflicted. That was my sensory data. My analytic overlay was slow and steady wins the race, malicious intent, resources, momentum, environment. I got the number 13. I wrote friends, and then I wrote blackout, danger with exclamation points behind it, recourse, and then I wrote down, I heard somebody say live with, audiences is what I wrote down, and then I wrote down a drug. I don't even know what this is, phenobarbital, some kind of drug, I guess.
Yeah, that's a phenobarbs. That's actually the guy I talked about on your show with the fingers that they found on Plum Island, the long fingers.
Yes.
I just found new information, a new police report that said he was found with phenobarbs in his system.
No way.
Phenobarbital is like, they're different class of drugs that are like hypnotics, I think, that they knock you out cold. And it's more than a tranquilizer. It's like tranquilizer and a sleeping pill together. They can be for seizures and other things.
Thank you, Jen.
Extreme things, cases.
Oh, okay, wait. M13 says that is a knockout and truth serum drug.
Yeah, a truth serum they use also.
Truth serum.
Sodium pentothal they use for truth serum, and Seconal they used to call Reds in the 60s. Hunter says in Fear and Loathing, he says, take some Reds, smoke, chill the heck out. So people were abusing them back then, but they're known for being like a knockout thing. Yeah, so it was weird that guy had them in his system when he washed up on Plum Island with his holes in his head and his long fingers. The guy that washed up there.
That's so weird.
Yeah, but anyway,
wow, that's weird that's in my data.
That is.
Okay,
really
and we're
weird.
talking about your room.
So the audience thing too. There was a concert hall at Montauk. It actually was on the surface. I actually did get to walk past it when I visited. I forget what. I'll have to show it to you when I visit. Brian, it's still standing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually did throw concerts of the music, and I even remember like other people playing my songs. So it was actually kind of like a way to blow off some steam a lot of times.
That's cool.
Yeah, but
this is also weird because I'm trying to work with a punk band to help them play there. So it's like
play.
I was just talking like kind of at an undisclosed place until they get kicked out, but we're just literally just talking to them, and then like the topic is just so close to everything that I've just been talking about. So
when are they trying to do that?
Hey, wait, don't give the dates because then they're going to hear
all
it.
about the electricity. So as soon as we're thinking generators, and then we're like, wait, generators are so loud. What are we doing?
Hey, it's all fun and games until the shape-shifting security guard pulls up.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
Oh man, we got it real quick. Let's take a little commercial break because when we were at Montauk, y'all, there was a security guard that pulled up on us when some people we were at the radar tower, and he was telling us to leave. And so half of us remembered him being an African American melanated guy, and the other half of us remembered a white guy with a ponytail.
Yeah,
that was weird. And we were all there together, but we all saw something different.
That's how it works, you
guys. That's the duo that used to chase us.
That's how they do it. Here's another example. I'll give you an example. There was a woman who got abducted. This is like a random story that I found, but it's a real story. Her and her family pulled over to the side of the road, and it was all really weird. And her father seemed like they were hypnotized. She was hypnotized, and he went to this ambulance that was on the side of the road. And she thought it was really weird, so she followed him. She went in there. And then when her brother was on his deathbed, she always felt too weird about it to talk about it, but he was gonna die. So she's like, "Do you remember that?" And she's like, "I remember it being a cabin on the side of the road." So this is what I mean when I've talked about this before. But they're not literally shape shifting; they're just able to make us see things. They're able to change reality in the way we see it in the moment as it's happening. So not only are they able to alter our memories. Hey, you're from Beaverton. All right next to me. Yeah, this is super weird.
It's very odd.
Oh yeah, by the way, Beaverton has an underground base underneath it with a lot of weird stuff going on. All the towns with ton at the end of them have underground bases. And yeah, I had an alter. He was actually calling it Beaverton. And I was like, it's Beaverton. There's an underground facility under Beaverton. And yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on in Portland.
Ooh, we might have to do a remote viewing target of that one. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So after phenobarbital that I wrote down, the next thing I wrote down was trafficking and drug trafficking. And then I wrote down.
Yeah, we trafficked adrenochrome.
Oh yeah, the Google Chrome.
Sorry, it slipped. It slipped.
It's all right. It's okay.
The band.
Daryl said it plenty of times last week.
Fear and Loathing is the first place that was mentioned, as far as I know.
Yeah,
actually,
it's real. And he said he got it from Satanists too, which also lines up with the reality of it.
That's right. They were ahead of their time for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all. Well, let's. Okay, so I wrote down the trafficking, and then I wrote down fame and fortune. Fame and fortune. Okay, and I want to show the picture to the audience too, to you guys. I drew what looks like. This is where I was picking up on like a shipping container. It was a square room. Like a kind of a box, but what I was seeing was like a shipping container. Okay, and so that's what I wrote down. And the next thing I wrote down was shipping container. It's literally the next thing I wrote down. And I wrote down whacked out. That was from my sensory data. Whacked out. I got the acronym MED, like MED, and then I wrote down medical shipping. Now, if you guys were dealing with the Google Chrome, what starts with an A, that's medical, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a way.
Also, just to go along with Daryl James and some of the stuff that he talks about, and you recently had him on the show, he talks about how they use the musicians to deal it and how Jack White was an adrenochrome dealer. And Jack White is heavily connected to he's a Freemason. His mom is a Freemason. And his family actually owns the largest Freemason temple in the United States in Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Wowby. Man, I tell you what, these secret societies are something else, aren't they?
Yeah, man, I was really disappointed when I found that out about Jack White. The first song I ever wrote on, or learned on the guitar in this life was Dead Leaves on the Dirty Ground, and I was always really into that band, so it's kind of a bummer to find that out. I wonder how much of his music he even wrote, right? A lot of it's probably stolen.
It's really sad. Okay, so we're talking about the shipping, the medical shipping, and I wrote down container. And then I was seeing some of those rectangular 3-dimensionals where I wrote down. It was like a 3-dimensional, like a shipping container. I kept picking up on that. I wrote down container, global operations, elite, secret society.
Mm-hmm, yeah, all of that lines up.
Everything that we're just talking about is in my data right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Medical shipping container, global operations, elite, secret society. I wrote down metal shipping container. Again, I kept picking up on shipping container. And elite. Elite was a big in this data. And gaining, and I wrote gains, so maybe like profit or something, but I wrote down gains, or it could be from your music too. Isn't that like a music term?
Yeah, gain levels. It's probably the first one though. It's probably has to do with profit, maybe.
Yeah. And then the last two things I wrote down were broken pieces and shepherd. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but that was my data.
I was the one who would lead people into their roles as to what they would do, or whether they were going to write songs and being asked if that write songs, a ghostwriter, or whether they were going to go out in the world and live a cover life where they do music like Mac Miller did, or some of these other Montauk artists, Tupac Shakur, who was originally born in ancient Egypt. I think that might have something to do with it. Honestly, all of the data really does line up pretty hardcore as usual. It's really impressive, honestly.
Well, thank you. And actually, a way more, I'm going to say a veteran remote viewer. She's done it longer than I have. Susan, we still have her data. I got a few things to go over with hers real quick too, because she was really honing in. She actually heard drumming. Arkheim, you can appreciate this. She the first thing she wrote down was drumming. She said some sort of a crowd she was seeing. She wrote down the word hot air balloon, is what she wrote down too, but that was analytic overlay. Something that was mesmerizing. She heard a pop, an explosion, yelling, sounds like a cat humming or a cat purring she was hearing. She said felt like she was in a festival. She kept picking up on a festival. She wrote down Coachella, Arkheim. Okay, so she was hearing music, she was hearing drumming, she was picking up on a lot of frequencies and noises and sounds, and she said there was she wrote down people in charge. So she was picking up on like a big crowd, a festival like Coachella. There were people in charge, reaching enterprise. Many were involved. She said she actually wrote down living in paradise for the first time. That's what she wrote down. Ain't it grand? She wrote down. And she said it was a very large place, vast people. There was a lot of trauma there. She wrote down festival again. Coachella, nameless, faceless, void, and devoid. And that was her data.
Music kept me safe, and it made people hate me too, because who would you rather be doing? Would you rather be going back in time and doing like these missions or whatever, or would you rather be hanging out in a recording studio making songs?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but there's a place at Montauk called the Void, and then they used to have hot air balloons, like blimps, dirigibles. They had a base, a blimp.
Stop it.
They called it a dirigible base in Montauk, and maybe she's seeing like parts of the past too mixed into that. I was just
so Brian, do you know about the it's just a little bit of a history thing. Do you know about the it's kind of a common thing, but not everybody knows about it. The Zeppelin that exploded in the early 1900s is the Nazi Zeppelin.
The airship.
The Hindenburg.
Yeah.
That was a Montauk time mission. And essentially the airship age of Earth brought in a lot of crazy stuff. People would live on the airships.
Yeah.
And there'd be casinos up there and stuff like that. And since you could float them over the ocean, and then there's no international law anymore, and so they caused all these problems for the government and for the controllers, so they just got rid of them by making people afraid of them.
Wow.
Making people think they're dangerous. And in the other timeline that I remember very well, Zeppelins are like a main form of travel. Traveling is a lot more fun, a lot easier to do. In fact, certain people travel in Zeppelins just to be on the Zeppelin. It's not really about where the Zeppelin's going. They just want to hang out on the Zeppelin. So like that's how crazy it got. So we went from hanging out in casinos, watching movies, being able to drink at a bar, having your own little room you can sleep in, to packing ourselves in a goddamn death trap like a fucking sardine and being miserable for 13 hours. That's on purpose. They want to limit human movement on the earth as much as possible. They don't like it.
If you guys watch The Improbable Dreamer on Instagram, you guys, or even John Levi, all those channels like that, okay, on YouTube and on the social medias, they show all these historical pictures. And Arkheim, I know you've always talked about airships. You've always talked about this with me. And we've even done shows, we're talking about airships over Venus and stuff, okay? But you've talked about, you remember being in airships. And they show all these pictures of historical photos where the sky is blanked out, like somebody has whitewashed the sky.
Yeah, they're getting rid of them. They existed they existed a lot longer than they're saying. And there is some truth too when people talk about like how the Smithsonian covered up our history and stuff like that and got rid of like certain things. And like one of the first shows I ever did was with Matt Tracy. You probably also met at the conference, and he explained how their like whole job is to cover up like historical anomalies. And what I figured out is there actually are an extension of the Montauk Project, the Smithsonian Institute, because when we change the timeline, sometimes there'd still be leftovers and stuff, and we have to get rid of them. We have to go physically get rid of certain artifacts and stuff like that. In fact, the episode of Inside Job on Netflix that's based on a guy, a time agent getting mind wiped and giving himself a life in Appleton, Wisconsin. Literally, that's the basis of the episode. They show how the timeline has to reset itself after they make a change, and they have to send in people, and it's hilarious. Like, not to be a spoiler, but like, they like the guy tells them, you got to get rid of Airbud. It changes the timeline in a bad way. You got to get rid of Airbud, and the guy like tries to like make it so he doesn't have to get rid of Air Bud. And then like the father, like, you didn't get rid of Air Bud, did you? The dogs are gonna play basketball and beat us at basketball. Like it's hilarious. Like it's a hilarious episode. They do good humor, but seriously, how weird is that? Like that they made an episode about these time agents that give themselves fake identities, they wipe their memories, and they give themselves lives in Appleton, Wisconsin, because they say this is a boring small place that nobody ever talks about, that where nobody will ever discover us. And before that episode ever came out, that's basically what I was saying I think happened to me.
Oh
Like,
my God.
Nobody's talked about time travel in Apple. No, you got that wrong.
This,
I mean,
this is honestly mind-blowing, y'all. My mind is blown.
Crazy coincidence.
Yeah, and there's also Miles Johnston. That guy, he did an interview with a woman not that long ago, and her father worked for NASA. There's all these connections to Appleton, and they talked about me a lot in the interview. I'd love to have that guy interview me. I don't know why he hasn't reached out, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, somebody in the chat, I think Maymay had mentioned Tartarian airships, talking about vanilla. Was it you that said? I don't know if it was Maymay said Vanilla Skies. Vanilla Skies. Isn't that a Tom Cruise movie, by the way? Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
And that's where they blanked
out
out all of the skies. That's Minority. Is that Minority Report or something like that?
No, Minority Report is not about
crimes.
I am terrible with my movies.
Which is a real thing in the breakaway planets and stuff. The Minority people, report people. I've done that job. They call it there's a name for it, but yeah, that's real. That's real.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, oh my gosh, this is so wild how all this is connected, and we've connected some dots tonight, y'all.
I think it's high time that I have you on my show again, Brian. Well, and
sure, man. Thanks.
And I'm trying to organize a trip to Montauk, like I said. Yeah. So, winter's coming up fast, so maybe it'll be like spring next year or something. I'm not sure, but I really want to get out there and.
Yeah, we're here. I mean, I'm the closest to, so it'll be easiest for me to meet. Obviously most people. So I love it when people come to town. I always try to, as best I can, and to catch up with them and go. So. Yeah,
maybe we can hit up one of those Montauk restaurants and have ourselves some lobster rolls or some lobster biscuits.
Yeah, time of the year is important when you do that. Like right now, it'd be like 100 times the price, but you go in the winter. Oh my God. It's like you have rule of the town now.
The winter might be the time to visit, huh?
Well, fall, winter, even like early spring, it's like a whole different world. But right now, it's like insane. Like for example, Metallica's playing in a small bar there for like exclusive tickets only. Like. And like everybody's famous is out there, like low key doing like little shows for like the mega. It's just a whole different world, like right about now.
We were definitely in the
Hamptons. Will cost you like $500 for a lobster roll, and you go there in the summer, it would be like $40 or something.
Oh, so it's better to go during the summer.
No, I mean it's fun in the summer, but it's also like traffic and expensive, and the richest of the rich and the elites can go out there. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's always beautiful. It's beautiful in the summer too. So I'm just trying to stay away from the ticks this year. And I think Mike was also, we decided.
All right, maybe I'll come through this late fall or something. Yeah, I have to look into it, but I really don't want to wait on this. I want to do this sooner than later.
Yeah, I think we're going in the fall. Mike, DHP, me, and we would go in the summer each year. And whoever, shows up each year, there's different people that join us. But whenever, we'll make time for you whenever you come.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Crystal says, I'd like to witness the battleship flashing through now. We were actually there. That was 2 years ago, y'all?
Yeah.
We were there. You're going to have to wait 18 more years for that, Crystal. Okay. You're going to have to wait 18 more years because it's every 20 years. It's the 20-year biorhythmic portal opening, right?
Yeah, that was the 1943, 1983, 2023. That was the big one.
You got an email, Brian?
Yeah, it's just montaukisstrange@gmail.com.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna message you after this.
Yeah. I've been once in a while I wanted to say something, but I didn't have your email too, so that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to use social media less and less, considering it's funding the downfall of humanity and rotting our brains.
It's AI.
Yeah, dude. Man. Yeah, they AI everything. They're like, do you want an AI assistant? Hey, I know you're trying to message your friend, but we want to talk to AI like a robot? No. No one's asking for this shit. Nobody wants it, man. Stop it. Anyway, sorry.
I know. Well, I mean, I just go on TikTok, my trusted news source, and I get sucked in for like an hour. I don't know where I literally time traveled into another dimension, y'all. I get lost, and I lose at least an hour every time I get on there. That's why I hate getting. I don't like. I love TikTok, but I hate it at the same time. So
Yeah.
It's hard.
But yeah, it is. So Long Island Bigfoot Mike has put your book. Both of y'all have your books, or the links are in the chat tonight. But your books
Also,
here,
one thing I want people to check out too is like I realize that it's really silly I haven't brought this up in the past. I got a Bandcamp, bloth.bandcamp.com, bloth.bandcamp.com. I tried to put a comment and it didn't let me. I don't know why. But all my music is there. The album Ghost Haunt, the producer that I worked with, we worked on a lot of The Weeknd's music, and you can hear it. And I just think it's kind of like, in a way, proof. Like, I really do make music in these programs, and the fact that I make music in the here and now, I feel like is kind of a reflection of that. So, and it's a way that people can support me. And I'm trying to make, now that I'm on the other end of the spectrum and I'm no longer like working for like an evil time corporation, I'm trying to make positive music that, I'm working on an album right now, and the whole album's about like the SSP, the time travel project, and all that stuff, and it's about like awakening humanity. I'm actually calling the album Age of Truth, which there's a YouTube channel called that too, but it's just kind of a coincidence, really. But I hope they don't mind. I was going to talk to them about it, but yeah, I'm just going to call it Age of Truth, this album, and I just highly encourage people to check out my music. And if they like it, they can buy it, but it's free to listen to. And I feel like I don't know why it's taken me so long to start talking about that in these podcasts, especially considering the music thing is a huge part of my testimony. My band's name it's just Bloth Arkheim, BLOTHARKHEIM. So like my first name, Bloth Arkheim, and that's the only project that I have right now.
And the music is freaking awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
like
I was digging that ambient
it's so
on
good.
The boat. On the dock that you did, the ambient guitar. That was
really awesome, man. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more stuff like that, and I've been posting it on the Patreon and stuff like that too, and on the Bandcamp. And it's supposed to be meditation tools and things like that. The ambient music. So yeah, it's a lot of fun making that.
Cool. I've been making stickers, artful kind of stickers of Camp Hero subtopics. And I made sticker sheets and like packs, and so I've been trying to do more artistic stuff too with some of the ideas, just to make, I don't know why, I just wanted to make them.
We'll have to work together, like collab on some sort of artistic idea.
Yeah, sure, man. It's all, to me, like it's all one big artistic idea, I guess.
You guys are both very creative and very artistic and always up for an adventure. I know both of y'all are because I've hung out with you. Okay,
yeah, that's
so
true.
yeah. Man,
you gotta do that again too one day when you come back.
God, that was so fun. I'm gonna have to come up there too and hang out. I need to go Bigfooting up there. Go look for Junior. Okay, so by the way, if the audience is not familiar with that, there is a Sasquatch on the property too named Junior.
I gotta.
And Amy, thank you for gifting 5 Cryptid Hunters memberships. That is so sweet of you. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your support. And you guys can become a member of the Hunt Club too if y'all just hit that join button, everybody. Okay.
Well, I just want to say thanks, and always a pleasure. And we'll have to do another show soon. I still have tons of targets for you.
Well, hey, send them over, man. Send them over. This is really and you send. I haven't done your targets either.
One yet, and I've wrote down like a million.
Brian.
So I got to get on it. I'll do that.
Okay, send them over, and we'll do another show with your with both of y'all's targets. Okay, and but we'll do them separate because I know they're going to be. There's no telling what y'all's targets are.
All right.
Arkheim, you're the one that gave me Robot Grandma. Okay, so.
Well, that was from Kat.
I know, but that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, I don't know, Arkheim, why don't you go first? Tell everybody where they can find your book and your YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so Amazon, it's Time and Space Unlimited by Arkheim Ra on Amazon, and I've got a Patreon, patreon.com/Arkheim Ra. You look me up, Arkheim Ra, you'll find me, and then Bloth, BLOTH.bandcamp.com. I've been putting out albums on there for over 10 years. I think I have 10 or 11 albums on there and a bunch of singles as well. So I've been doing the whole music thing for my whole surface level life as well. And just thanks for having me again. And it's always a pleasure. And it was really cool to have Brian Minnick come on. Always a pleasure to speak with him. Always an honor. And I'll talk to you. Oh yeah, the email. You want my email? arkheimra@gmail.com. That's it. Easy to remember, just like Brian's.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
amazing. And your YouTube channel is Disclosure Now. You do lives and interviews and all that.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, and it's got an exclamation point, y'all. So please go and subscribe over there on Disclosure Now. And now, Brian, promote your channel and your book as well. Whatever you got.
Okay, yeah, I'm Montauk is Strange on YouTube and Instagram and Gmail, and that's the name of my book also. But Montauk is Strange: The Archives. You can get the print copy on bookbaby.com, and it's on Amazon. It's an ebook in all of the ebook stores, whichever one you prefer.
And it's an amazing book, you guys, and it's big. It has a lot of information in it.
It's big. It's like one of two. So there's a second half. I kind of cut off all the trips out there at when it became a park. So now I have all the ones through TV, through all of YouTube, and now through writing the book. So there's another 45 trips there. I have another 45 stories from people to come and more documents. You're going to love the new documents I got that are just mind blowing about the electronic mind control stuff. It's but I'll save that. And then I just did a sticker store, but I'm going to put that on my channel. It's just like some of those art stickers, different things, merch type of, not for merch. It's more for I just like the ideas of it. So that's it. Everything's under that name though, pretty much. So thank you. I appreciate you guys and for having me on last minute. It was cool to pop in.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Into the chat, into the show in a matter of 15 minutes is cool.
Man, you know what? Thank you so much for joining us. You know what? We're just all in this together, and we're trying to figure things out and uncover the truth about this. And thank you, Arkheim, for your testimony and for allowing me to remote view that for you. Thank you, Brian, for your expertise on it. And together maybe we can solve some of these mysteries, y'all. Okay. And,
it's happening.
And have this is real disclosure. Okay. This is disclosure right here, y'all. This is what it is. So
it's an honor to work with you guys, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Now, but yeah, have a wonderful rest of your evening, you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Arkheim. Okay, thank you. All right, Arkheim always hops off early, by the way. So, but thank you guys, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight, y'all. And I want to thank let's see, Amy for gifting the memberships. I want to thank Nathan Davis for the super sticker. Y'all are so awesome. And Brian, I am so excited. I got to come up there and hang out with you again too. And
that'd be great.
Long Island Bigfoot, go do some Bigfooting and hang out with DHP and all those people. So
we got a big island to check out.
Yeah, man, I don't know now because I remember how creeped out I got when we went to the radar tower. I'm not saying I went to the radar tower officially, y'all. We're just you're not supposed to go there, right?
You may or may not have.
The shape-shifting security guard will come after you, okay? Which is crazy. But anyways, it was really creepy there. And I can only imagine, is that where you heard the chanting, by the way?
It was like a offshoot bunker, like a satellite bunker that supports Camp Hero. They had a bunch of those too. There's 19 of those around. But a lot of stuff did happen in the radar tower though, creepy stuff. Door slamming and we did hear out loud disembodied voice sing out to us when we were in the tower on the 4th floor. It's yelled out and we all answered it. We go, huh? We got that.
Oh my God.
And then we realized something just yelled out to us. So it was really weird. But yeah, we'll have to get back in there one day. Maybe.
Well, I know I got the heebie-jeebies over there. Okay. Cause it is, the energy is wild, y'all. The energy is wild over there, but please be safe out there, Brian. Okay. Just be safe. And hopefully I'll come up there and see you guys again soon. And I'm super glad that you and Arkheim are linking up and Long Island Bigfoot Mike as well. And so thank you so much, Brian, for being here tonight.
That's what we do.
Absolutely. Okay, y'all. Well, everybody, Brian's books links are in the chat and his website. Please come back and see me on Saturday night. I have Javier Morales of Cryptid 559 coming on the show. And he said there's been an uptick in all reports of dogmen and Bigfoot and everything out in California. We're going to talk about it then. So until then, y'all, please stay safe out there. Have a wonderful night. Watch for portals. Okay. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't live in fear. And I'm sending all my love and light to you guys tonight. All right, Brian. Have a great night, and we will see y'all next time. All right. Bye.
Everyone. Thank you.